Hey, what's going on, everybody? Episode 143 of Heavy Metallurgy. Happy Friday. I hope you're doing well. I am here with my outstanding co-host, Mr. Professor Steele himself. Alan, how are you today?
I'm doing all right now. It was a messy day, but came home, had dinner with the family, got to do some fun stuff with the little guy before we went to bed. So yeah. Ending the day on a high note for sure. How are you doing, Marty?
I'm doing good. Today didn't go as planned, but productive nonetheless. And again, we mentioned it late on Wednesday, but thanks everybody for subscribing. If you're a new subscriber, thanks. We're over the 5,000 mark, which it seems like
I demand a recount.
It seems like a goal we were never going to hit, but it's been this last half a year has been pretty ambitious. So cheers to all you. Thanks, Steve, for the shout out on the 5,000.
Hey,
We're going to get the Chameleon show figured out here soon. It's not going to be a typical Friday. It'll be its own thing.
We'll do something special with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll take a little arranging, but I do demand a recount by hand before it happens. So
hanging chads, no hanging chads here.
Fake news.
I just want to give another shout out here to the shirts we got, the new ones. We got the Collector Scum with the Napalm Death tribute font, I guess you could say. Show the world what you are, Collector Scum. You have to have it in every format and every vinyl color. Chances are you need this shirt. Or do you
How
buy? How
many colors does the shirt come in, Marty?
It just comes in one variant, black. The best variant is black.
But how am I going to collect them all if there's only one?
Well, there's just one. There's one for now, but if you bought 10 records and shelved them before you listen to them, you might need that shirt. Also, we've got the Sex Condor design that our friend Lee from Heavy Art Talk did. Still on the press, ready to go. I've been a little behind this week, but I'm all caught up as of today. So cheers to everybody that's bought one. It's been a good turnout on both designs. Thank you so much. They're here. They're waiting for you if you want one. ICP for life. How you doing, Aaron? Hey, Ryan. What's going on? Hey, Mike. From the old
regular folks.
Mike Ducey from the old Metal Maniacs days.
I just saw that. Yeah, I was just saying hi to Mike in the comments. Cool to see you there tonight, Mike.
Yeah, he's our only person that views on Twitch, by the way. Again, we have a Twitch account, so I don't know why it's there, but
it's for Mike.
Yeah, it's for Mike, and they're not being, our episodes are not saved on there because we don't have enough subs. I don't even look at it. I don't even know why it's there, but anyway.
It's for Mike.
Yeah. Alan, do you have anything to bring up before we bring out our guest?
I do not. I'm just happy to have our guest. He hasn't been on in a while, and he's always great to talk to, so please bring him on out.
Pat from Ground Zero Salem, welcome back to the Heavy Metallurgy bunker. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you gentlemen doing?
Not bad for a couple old dudes. Not bad.
Good. Same. Pretty good.
So you're back. You're shooting videos like a madman. It's good to see you back. Obviously, you've had some life stuff go on, which you probably don't want to talk about, but what you got planned for the channel and what's been going on with you? So people can please go subscribe to Ground Zero Salem. Links in the description if you have not already.
Trying to get to 3K subs soonish. So I had some time off from work, in between jobs, had a couple of weeks, so I took as much advantage of that as I possibly could. Shot 4 updates on my favorite releases of 2023. Kind of a bit much, but wanted to talk about stuff. It'd been so long that I've been holding back. I just had so much to give. As far as the future, I'm trying to keep a regular schedule with weekly, if not like twice a month. Just gonna do the metal tag next and probably see where it goes from there. So as people have noticed that may watch my channel, I like doing editing, maybe to a fault. I don't know. So, I'm always trying to add new stuff and have fun, work a little bit of humor in. And that's pretty much it, like always looking to expand, but yeah, we'll see where it goes. I'm back though. I'm going to be making videos semi-regularly at least.
Awesome. And also, for those who don't know, Pat also has a small label / distro, Ground Zero Salem Records. I don't remember the exact vernacular for it. Is it
GTS Physical Media?
Oh, wow. That's $5 words there. That's very nice. How's that been going?
That's almost like slam metal label. style wording. It's going fine. I put out my third release, which was a little bit of a swerve. It's like more of like a street punk oi band, my friend's band, We the People. That's done okay. A few people have picked it up. I need to push it a little bit more because it is very good. Other than that, people buy from the distro here and there. I haven't replenished it in a while, but people still regularly buy from it. If you're interested, I've got a pretty good mix of metal and crust and hardcore and stuff like that. It's a small, big cartel. It's just groundzerosalem.com. Swing on by, check it out.
Good prices too, by the way. Good prices, fast shipping. Excellent service as always.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yes, and Pat, thank you for jumping in such short notice. We appreciate it, and we haven't done a what's spinning in a while. We figured it would be fun and easy to do. People seem to like them, and it's good to show off the stuff before you file it away.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite. I just what I've been jamming.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, and just to clarify, if some folks were tuning in hoping to see King Fally, he had something very important come up last second. We've already got him rescheduled for a couple of weeks from now. He felt very, very bad about it, but it was an obligation he could not get out of, and he should not have. It was more important than hanging out with us for the night, for sure.
Absolutely. So,
King, we will catch you in a couple of weeks. But yeah, we're very happy that Pat is here. In a way, it's a win-win because now we got two great guests out of it instead of just one.
And it's been a while. It's good to catch up. Like I said,
exactly.
We're in a group chat together, but it's still this is better. So anyway, we might as well start off. Yeah, we'll start with you, Pat. What have you been spinning?
Oh, okay.
What's been spinning?
So, pretty good, like smaller distro and label. Speaking of which, on the internet, called Adirondack Black Mass, which I came across on Instagram, and of course I went after it because I'm from upstate New York. They're based out of Troy. I picked this up on that label or in the distro. It didn't come out on the label. This band, Hell Sodomy.
That's just one you couldn't leave sitting. That had to come home to pop up.
Yeah, it's a very Hell's Headbangers kind of name.
Yeah.
They're from Turkey, and it's like black thrash type of stuff, which usually isn't my cup of tea. I like the OG bands that kind of play in that style, like Niflheim, etc. Arad Noir, of course. But this is kind of like that, but it's a little bit meaner. It's a little bit more like death metal almost. There's a little bit of kind of Stockholm, kind of a little bit Entombed, Skogsberg kind of style stuff woven in there. I feel like really vicious, really good riffs, really good leads, super catchy, good songwriting, which is usually my my go-tos for what I'm looking for. So yeah, but yeah, Hell Sodomy, great word salad name generator. Like somebody spun a wheel. But I mean, you don't hear too much out of Turkey. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The bands that I'm familiar with from Turkey, there's Godslaying Hellblast, who are like a black metal band, and the Turkish Cenotaph, who are more of a brutal band. And those are the only bands I know of from Turkey, or at least metal bands that I know of from Turkey. So interesting, really well produced and stuff. Yeah, fun, catchy listen. Hit the spot on my commute today.
Right on. Well, you got the show rolling with a little bit of blasphemy. How are you going to follow that up, Alan?
We'll go with some black and thrash from my commute today. So yeah, a long day at work. Sometimes you just want to hear something fun at the end of a very long work. So I dialed up some Bewitcher, both the self-titled and their most recent studio album, Cursed Be Thy Kingdom. These guys are known to most folks. It's very straightforward, in that kind of blackened thrash. These guys do it a little bit more towards the traditional end of heavy metal rather than thrashing out full speed like maybe Death Hammer or someone. But I really like their songs. They're very fun, very catchy, nothing deep or complex. Just the kind of thing you can put on, crank up very loud, and feel better after dealing with numerous problems at work all day. So yeah, like both of these, the second album that came in between these is my least favorite, so it doesn't get played as much, but both these are gems in my opinion. Band is overdue for a new album. They put out like a 10th anniversary collection in 2023, which was okay, but felt a little odd for a band with only 3 albums under their belt. It's like, let's get us a new studio album, please. We'd rather have that. So yeah, I know some folks like, other black and thrash bands better than this one. This one just, pushes all the right buttons for me. When you're covering Pentagram songs, you've got my attention. I'm going to buy your stuff. So yeah, this is what I rocked out to on the drive home tonight.
Right on.
Marty, how are you going to start this off?
Well, I was pretty excited to get my copy of Scanner, the Cosmic Race from Europe 2 days ago. I just did a review on this a couple weeks ago here on Heavy Metallurgy. It's on Rock of Angels. Nice. I got the Digibook edition with the patch. And yeah, I got to say, the more I spin it, the more I like it. There's some wonky things here and there with the drums, but other than that, the singer's unique. The songs are well written. The ballad on here is not good. Other than that, very solid record. The more I keep spinning it, the more I like it. This might end up on a year-end list. Kind of early to tell, but as of right now, and I was telling the guys here in the back room before we jumped on. Oh yeah, check out the band photo. They're ready. They're ready. They're in space.
The only good bug's a dead bug.
Absolutely.
That's it, man. Game over.
Would you like to know more?
I was talking behind the scenes here that according to our Orden Ogan numbers for Wednesday, that the American viewership isn't too keen on power metal. But if I have to be the one standout to drag the American fans kicking and screaming back to power metal, challenge accepted. Get ready. Just get ready. Enjoy it. That's all I got to say. But yeah, check out the new Scanner.
Yeah. Marty,
It's
Brian
good.
wanted to know what the title was.
The Cosmic Race. Just came out here the January 19th. I don't know, a couple weeks ago. So it's new. I don't know if there's many US distros with it yet. So I had to spring for it from overseas, but it's worth it. And that cover art, holy crap-a-moly. Isn't that awesome? Very, very, very cool cover art. So yeah, check out the new Scanner. It's quite good. And Patrick, you are back.
I am. All right. Okay. I'm not sure what the pronunciation on this. I think it's Insepultus, and it's Incomprehensible Appearances. This band was from Slovakia, I believe. I just looked it up before I came on here. Did my prerequisite scan of metal archives. But this is impressive. It's death metal. It's got melodic elements. Early 90s melodic, not mellow death. I'm thinking kind of like early Edge of Sanity or it sounds like Karelian Isthmus recorded on a Tascam. Like it's super raw. It's kind of demo quality, but it's got all those like intricate kind of leads and stuff like that Amorphous had, and maybe Edge of Sanity kind of epic sounding, but super, super raw. And it's great. It's super catchy death metal stuff from, I don't know, around that era, 92, 93, something like that.
Well, see, Tim, I have one fan. Tim, me and Tim, we're gonna go to the heavy metal bar and listen to some Orden Ogan and share a picture of Paps or something. It'll be great. All right. Alan.
Let's see. I got one vinyl item to show off tonight. Got this from Aaron when he did his album sale at the end of the holiday season over on the Metal Theologian channel. It's the second Hex album, Under the Spell, which I had just never got around to hearing or picking up. I have the first one and like it. And I knew the second one was kind of different because they seriously reshuffled the lineup in between the two albums, even though I think they're only a year apart. The first one was 85 and this was 86. But yeah, Aaron had a really nice reissue of this one that Metal Blade put out several years ago. And I just never got around to picking it up. So, he had everything. He had lots of cool stuff on his sale, really good prices on it. So yeah, I was able to acquire this one, and it's really, really good. It reminds me of Larley Metal Church, maybe a little bit like Vicious Rumors, but slightly heavier, stuff in that vein. US power metal that's kind of pushing towards thrash metal, but never really crosses the line into full out thrash territory. So, very aggressive, very tough sounding, but keeping it in that traditional US power metal kind of style. The album starts out with 2 real bangers. You got Hell Riders and A Time of War. But really, the whole album's quite solid. Most of the tracks are relatively up tempo, but they do slow it down for a couple, and those are actually really good too. They're not ballads; they just have a slower, kind of more ominous tempo to them. So yeah, it was really cool to finally check this one out. Hex just kind of kept reinventing themselves on every album, it seems, because the one after this, there's a few years break, and then they do get into thrash territory and more extreme stuff, which it's been a long time since I heard that one. I don't even remember the title. Pat, you probably remember it.
I'm blanking, but I
am too. That's sorry. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
I have the.
It's also good, whatever it's called. Someone in the chat can help us out. I'm sure folks will remember that third Hex album too. If you haven't heard the early ones, they're different than the later stuff, but they're very, very good in that 80s US power metal vein.
They changed because the Hex album I have has got a guy like sawing his head open. It's got Clint Bauer from Abscess on guitar on it.
Yeah, that's
it's a little more aggressive.
Sanity.
Yeah, a little more thrashy.
They go pretty brutal. Like they get almost to like sadist level brutality. Really intense, vicious thrash stuff. One of those bands, kind of like Laz Rocket. Well, Laz Rocket never got that brutal, but they went from more traditional speed heavy metal stuff to like the more atypical kind of Bay Area sort of thrash. Kind of an interesting arc with both those bands, and both bands I like pretty much everything they did. So.
Yep. So yeah, that's what I've been picking up.
Speaking of California thrash, Laceration Demise. This came out 2 years ago. Back before people were there's been a kind of a resurgence of some bands doing the between thrash metal and death metal kind of stuff. Trying to think of some examples. I'm not going to try to think of any right now. There's a few. Doing that sort of Sadist or Demolition Hammer kind of style. Laceration did a demo in that vein, like in the late 2000s, and it was really, really good. And I'd been kind of following them since then. Hadn't heard anything about them in a few years. Didn't know this came out. This came out over 2 years ago now. And I liked it. Like the first couple of songs, I was slightly disappointed because it's definitely more in a death metal direction. Especially vocally, much more brutal vocals. It's leaning more into like a Malevolent Creation or early Morbid Angel, still has its feet in thrash somewhat, but kind of more in a solid death metal direction. But it's really good. Despite the fact they're doing more of a death metal thing, I'm enjoying it. Really good riffs, really solid production. Pretty solid listen overall. Came out on Rotted Life, which is a label I like a lot too.
All right, Alan.
Marty, did we skip you at one point?
Oh, maybe. Whatever.
Oh, was that? Did I skip you? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, no
big deal.
No worries. Yeah,
I felt a good segue, and I just jumped in like an idiot.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
After our album club where we talked about Atrocities Longing for Death, the next day I said, you know what? Atrocities Blute can't be that bad, can it? It can't. It's not as bad as I remember it being, is it? So I went and grabbed the CD. I grabbed the first 3 and listened to the first 2 and put this on, eagerly awaiting. Man, this album sucks. I mean, how can you go from Longing for Death into such an absolute shit turd record? The dude's singing like Fozzie Bear on here. Alex is singing like Fozzie Bear from the Muppets, and oh god, there's one good song, I'm in Darkness. That's kind of recalls to the early stuff. Really good, energetic track. Alex's vocals is more brutal. Yeah, this is a drink coaster. I can't help but why I kept it, I don't know, but this is where I got off the boat with that Atrocity, and I jumped off like a, when a ship's sinking and all the rats are jumping. I was a rat jumping off this boat for sure. But yeah, it hasn't aged. It was shit when it came out, and it still remains shitty. Sometimes bands can be ahead of their time, and early on when it first happens, you're not maybe ready for it, but your musical palette evolves over years, and you can pull something out like this and be like, oh yeah, I get it. It's like no, it's not a fine wine. This is someone pissed in the jug of Boone's Farm is what this is. It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
So
Dracula font is just,
oh god, it's bad.
So when we get to 6,000 subscribers, Marty will be live streaming himself listening to Blute for 24 hours nonstop.
I'll be singing along. Hey, 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 Fozzie Bear.
Yep.
All right, we're a little out of order. No big deal. Alan, what you got?
That's good. Well, let's get back on order. Then let's let Pat do another one. That'll get us
Oh,
back
no,
on,
okay. All right.
That'll get us back on rotation.
Not too much to say about this. This was sent to me. I order from Headsplit all the time, and I talk about their stuff on my channel. Occasionally I get a freebie, something thrown in. This Carcinoid, I don't know if this is considered technically an EP or an LP. It's like 5 songs, but it's long songs. What is it? Encomium to Extinction. I can't read this. I need to get my eyes checked. I've gotten an appointment with the optometrist in a couple days.
It looks like you have at one point you are wearing glasses, so you have been to the optometrist at least once.
I need a follow-up. Let me put it that way. Yeah, I think that says Encomium to Extinction. Anyways, I first listen to this, I was like, I've heard this before. This is super doom deathy, Ripakulu-ish, throbbing, deep, like tonally really, really bassy kind of stuff. There's some bands that do this really well, but it's been kind of saturated in death metal in the past like 5 years or so. I see this everywhere. I see it all over Instagram. I wonder what the big deal is. And then I listened to it a couple more times, and now it was like, I may be a little burnt out on this style, but this band does this really well. They're from Australia. The riffs are great. Really, really good riffs. They don't really try to get all twisty and turny and labyrinthine and like spooky. They're not trying to rip off Incantation like so many bands have in the past 10 years or so. It's more like straightforward, like kind of headbanging, even kind of moshy riffs. Really, really, really heavy, gristly sound. And it's also pretty discernible too. It's not like a big foggy wall of noise, but the sound they achieve production wise on it and just the abrasiveness of the tone is really, really impressive on it. So it's a cool release. It's not what I've been craving lately in terms of my death metal, but it is very, very good. And I'm going to go back to it and listen to it a bunch more times this week, I think.
All right, Alan.
All right, we'll go from vinyl to digital. This is something I mentioned in a review. It was like a call to arms last year, but circled back to it. And I've been playing it a lot the last week or so. It's the second album from Germany's Norr.
That was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, it actually was. It's it's a little different. It's obviously black metal, but it's leaning into more, I guess, the pagan kind of side of things. There's parts of songs that are more folk influenced. There are parts that stick to relatively melodic death metal. Nothing. There's not layers of synth or anything. They're just not blasting outright. Vocals are really good. I forget her name, but she does a really, really good job. I like her vocal style. It's really nice for this. So yeah, it's just they've got kind of a nice blend of different elements in their sound. And it's not something I expected would get a lot of spins. I spun it a few times, like, yeah, it was good for like a shout out at the end of a review video. But I put it back on last weekend while working on something. It's like, oh yeah, didn't play that any extra, so I've been getting regular spins all week ever since. So Norr, again, I don't have many good references for this kind of style, but if it helps any, they covered a Ward Runa song on the album. So if you're familiar with that project, apparently they felt, that was kind of, in their wheelhouse. So yeah, Norr out of Germany, relatively new black metal band, and it is definitely staying in the playlist quite a bit. So a very pleasant surprise. I just kind of checked out on a whim.
Right on. Yeah, good. That's definitely good. I feel so bad for like these black metal bands like that. They're putting out good stuff, but man, are they going to be, talked about in 10 years like Dark Throne? Or no, probably not.
It's a very, like death metal and other fields, it's a very crowded scene. It's hard to stand out, but
it is.
All you can do is put out the best album and
hope for the best.
You do have to almost hope for a break sometimes. They are on Northern Silence, which doesn't have great distribution, but has built a good reputation for putting out really, really solid releases. So maybe that'll help a little bit.
Maybe so. All right. Well, this one I've been listening to a lot because this is an exceptional record. And if I would have gotten this when it came out the tail end of last year. It would have been on my year-end list for sure. It's Philosopher by Eternus, the latest by them. Holy crap-a-moly. This is back to the roots. Their last album, Heathen, was back to the roots as well. Very good album. I enjoyed it a lot. This one is a bit better. It's even better than that one. Tracks Void of Venom and Resting Worm. Oh my God. They're just absolutely great. He's back into the mid-paced, emotive, flowing progressions like on the first couple Eternus records. His vocals are very stately, but you can understand what he's saying, and he's very loud in the mix, which is just, it's very a fist pumping kind of awesome death/black metal conglomerate. There's like blast beats on here too, but they're used as more of a dynamic and an effect than the predominant attack. Whereas after And So the Night, Beyond the Wandering Moon, no, And So the Night became Burning the Shroud. All that stuff started to get more brutal, and then he had a period in the middle where it just kind of generic brutal death metal. But he's back in the atmospheric, slightly black death metal category. Would I still call this the Norwegian bolt thrower like I do the early stuff? No, it's not, but this is excellent, an exceptional record. I've been listening to the crap out of this. I might pick it for an album club one of these days, but just to talk about it, because I don't know how much love this got on Agonia Records. But yeah, and I also hate what they did with the logo and the cover on this. It's just so kind of chaotic. I don't know, don't dig it, but the album itself is exceptional. Go check out Eternus, Philosopher. Very good album. Back to the roots.
Yeah, I have a feeling it didn't get as much of a push as it should have, because I like that band. I always hoped they would go back to their thing, and I never heard a thing about it upon release, sadly.
Yeah, it's really good.
But,
Yeah, I just kind of got into them, and I didn't hear about that coming out until I heard it from you, I think, Marty. So
yeah. Good shit. Check it out.
all right. So love this band, love the name of this band, love the album art. This is Nasty Face. And I had to double check because of my eyes, and pull it up on my other monitor. The name of this album is This Is the Face Wish How. Okay. They're Swiss, they're gore grind. They have that slightly thrashy edge that a lot of the earlier Razorback bands kind of had. Not a direct sound alike, but if you like stuff like Birdflesh and early Rotten Sound, that kind of stuff, Squash Bowels, it's got the early Carcass influence, but there's other stuff going on. Razor sharp riffs. All the songs are like a minute and a half long. It's just it's an assault on the senses kind of thing. Also came out on Headsplit in 2021. Great little nasty piece of gore grind right there. Awesome.
Thanks so much, Frosty. You didn't have to do that, man. Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
We do have a cool community. We appreciate all you folks. A lot of fun. Thank you for joining us every week. Good times, good discussions.
Absolutely. No, it's cool that folks can come on here, chat, disagree on things, but still just have fun with it, and not have it devolve into everybody just complaining and sniping.
Yep.
Makes it much more enjoyable. I don't know as Marty and I would keep doing it on and on if we had to come on here every week and just listen to everybody complain and
or we would just
be
ignore
nasty.
That. Yeah. But don't want to do that. Anyway, Pat, Nasty Face. Never
Nasty
heard of it.
Face.
Where does something like that come across your radar?
Just in distros, and I have the labels I like to pay attention to, and Headsplit's definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it wasn't from Headsplit. I think I got that one from Adirondack Black Mass. But I go down little rabbit holes, and with that video I did on all the top grindcore of 2023, I was just kind of in a grindy mood, and a few people recommended another one I'm going to talk about, and that was also in the same distro. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this pop up. I really like that cover art, so I blind bought it like I do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And, paid off for me.
Blind buying is still fun. I still like it. I predominantly buy everything blind, which is sometimes dumb, but way it goes. Can't all be good. All right.
When they hit, they're a lot of fun. When they miss, they feel a little worse.
Yep. All right, Alan.
All right, I'll stay on the phone for now. just reviewed this one, so I won't, spiel about it a ton. You can go check out the review on Heavy Metallurgy. But Century Media just put out the first album by this California band called Upon Stone. It's titled Dead Mother Moon, and it's very, very good melodic death metal. They're drawing very heavily on the classic Swedish late 90s melodic death style. It's a relatively raw kind of production for this. It's not super cleaned up, which plays in its favor. And it does incorporate a few elements from, different 21st century styles that have been influenced by mellow death. So the band has a little bit of personality. Do not worry, it does not cross over into mallcore or anything like that. But they're kind of adding some of their own elements and things from other places so that it doesn't sound just like a Jester race clone or anything. It's a very new band. It was they only did a EP 1 or 2 years ago, and all of a sudden they're on Century Media and getting one of the sort of first big releases on that label this year. So, but the album is quite good. It's kind of short, but it's a really fun listen if you like those classic Swedish melodic death metal bands. So yeah, a good early album for 2024. Wanted to give it one more shout out here in case folks did not catch the review video.
The track 4 reminds me big time of In Flames. It's like Jester Race era It's really good. That's where the album really kind of picks up steam for me on that. I like the fast, more brutal, HM2 sounding Sweet Death emulation, but when it hits that track 4, it's like, okay, this is where it feels best to me.
Yeah, they kind of show that they really do have that extra range to do those different styles, not just keep raging from song to song to song. Agreed.
Yeah. All right, where do I want to go next? Is it me? I'm next.
You're next. Yep.
Well, my kid has been completely freaking out over Lost Horizon, so these 2 records have been constant rotation in the vehicle whenever we go shopping or in his room. And I'm like, hold on a second. The other day we're going to the grocery store and I said, put on Sacred Outcry, Towers of Gold. So we queued this up on his on Spotify, and you can see the little blew his mind. How is Daniel's vocals so great? I'm like, he's an anomaly for sure. But yep. So I'm back to spinning Sacred Outcry, Towers of Gold, which was my top pick for 2023, if I remember right. I think I went with this one as number 1. But yeah, it's been good to get the Daniel Hyman vibe again. I can't say I'm getting tired of these records yet, but I've been hearing them a lot here the last couple months. So he's now on to Sacred Outcry, and it's a good thing. And the more I listen to the record, the better it gets too. I know a lot of people are saying how the middle of the record is a little more lethargic, but it's still awesome. It's so good. And Daniel's composing and the way he orchestrated the vocals and harmonizing with himself at super high pitches, kind of mind-blowing how great he is. He really is an anomaly. Better than Kiska? I mean, it's hard to say.
No. Let's not say things we can't take back.
Yeah. I mean, they're both amazing in their own
He's
right.
on the same level as Kiska.
He's on the same level.
I'll certainly give you that.
He's got a higher range too. His range goes up into a couple octaves higher, but anyway.
So do I if you kick me in the nuts.
Yep. I didn't know you could be melodious while weeping. I don't know. That's amazing. That's a great talent, Alan.
Beauty through pain. Beauty through pain.
All right, Bat.
All right. Brazilian speed metal, heavy metal, speed metal, maybe a little touch of thrash. Taurus.
Oh.
Named after the best Ford ever. Signo de Taurus is the name of the full length. Really good stuff. I mean, if you're into, I can't even think of a really good analog, but I mean, if you like Exciter and stuff like that, there's moments where I was like, that riff kind of reminds me of like something more along the lines of Belladonna era Anthrax or even DRI's thrash metal stuff, but just in a few moments. Like it's mostly straightforward, heavy speed metal stuff, occasionally kind of like falsetto touches in the vocals here and there, but it's really, really good. It's got a certain rawness to it. It's from Brazil. But yeah, really great riffs. Fun listen overall.
Darren, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Darren.
You're too kind.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard good things about that band, Pat, but I haven't checked them out yet.
Oh, you'd dig them. I think you'd like them a lot.
From what you just said, yeah, they're going to have to get pushed closer to the top of the list. I've been hearing several South American bands in the past 6 months or so that are really, really impressive. They got some very good scenes going down there.
All right. Ellen.
All right. I have to pronounce this. This one's tough even for me. It's technically an EP. It's on Van Records, really strong label out of Germany. I'm going to take a stab. I think the band is pronounced Arstedier Lifsons. If I'm butchering it, my apologies. This is a new band to me. It's the first time I've encountered them. I checked it out mainly because it was on Van Records, and they really don't put out much crap. So let's give it a chance. They had it for $1 on Bandcamp the day it came out. It's 2 songs, but it's 44 minutes. Each song is over 20 minutes long, and they're both awesome. Really, really good stuff. From what I've been reading up on the band and listening to this, it's sort of again a black pagan metal style. I think it leans a little bit towards Viking metal, but really, really good. My tolerance for Viking metal can be kind of short because too many bands want to just make it bouncy, 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 bouncy. It sounds the same. These guys aren't doing that at all. They've got sort of lower, more big chorus kind of but deeper voices singing. So it's got like this more kind of somber but majestic feel to it, and just really like the way they put both of these songs together. Both of these songs held my attention through their 20-minute plus duration, and I'm not famous for my tolerance of really, really long songs. So yeah, an impressive release. I believe Kellen is going to give this a much more detailed treatment in an upcoming review. He's much more familiar with the band than I am. Like I said, this is the first time I came across them. But yeah, really neat release. And if that sounds interesting to you, you can check Bandcamp. I don't know if they changed the price. It may have only been like a limited time thing, but it was like a $1 or may have been like €1 download when it came out there in late December. So Arstedier Lifsons, they've got several albums out. Really looking forward to Kellen's reviewing this and kind of filling in all the details that I don't know about them.
They're asking you to put it in the chat when you're done, so everybody knows how to.
Sure, that's a great idea. I'll do that while Marty gives us his next thing from his playlist.
Well, we had Albert on last week from Decibel Magazine. Thanks everybody that checked that out, and thanks to Albert for joining us. It was a lot of fun, as always. Got me kind of digging through some things I showed, and this thing cropped up. I might have showed this Wednesday, but it's one of those albums that I don't touch it for years, and when I do throw it on, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this. And I could just see Nick Holmes with long flowing hair and like a romantic white shirt unbuttoned down to here, hair flowing in the wind, singing his best James Hetfield impression. Yeah, and it works for me. I don't know why. There's a dreamy atmosphere about this record, and it's catchy as shit on top of it. So it's got earworm, you got great vocal melodies and the machismo bullshit vocals, which it works. It's good. I don't know. This album has held up really well. Paradise Lost were one of the bands that of the Peaceful 3 that I feel their innovation, they kind of got it right. They would go in different directions, and for a metal band experimenting with non-metal ideas, it's usually kind of half-baked, but they just did it right. Even their non-metal stuff is pretty damn good. Still sounds like Paradise Lost. So Mike,
need to check that stuff out.
You guys are crazy tonight. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate all of you. Seriously,
wow,
thank you so much.
Mike.
But Draconian Times by Paradise Lost. It's held up well, and it's been fun spinning it again.
That was a record I hated when it
Me
came
too.
out.
I hated it.
And I was going to ask, what did you think about it when it came out? Because I went back to it going on a deep dive of Paradise Lost. I still need to check out the synth pop records. Like I haven't gotten around to it.
The album after this one too, 1 Second, is even more synth poppy, but still has some heavy. I hated it initially, but it's so catchy. So good.
I really like Draconian Times now. It's like, hey, we'll take the Black album and make it suck less.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, kind of like COC Blind. It's like the Black Album, but it doesn't suck.
But that has always been my problem with that era of Paradise Lost. Yeah. And I neither hate nor love the album, but both Icon and Draconian Times, Nick Holmes just wants to be James Hetfield so bad with that vocal performance on those two albums. He sounds so much like he's trying to imitate Hetfield that it just always irks me.
Not classic Hetfield, like Hetfield from the Black Album.
Yes, exactly. Yes, no, he really wants to. You know, I'm looking for the cover of Enter Sandman on the end of that album, so that Nick can just go full hog on it. It's just
post voice lessons Hetfield, not cool Hetfield.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have to keep remaking Gothic. Don't get me wrong, but those albums lean a little uncomfortably into the Metallica of the early '90s direction for me to be comfortable with them. Yeah. It's like, yeah, they're not bad albums, but yeah, I feel a little funny about what were they trying to do here? Were they really trying to ride that train? I hope not. Don't know. So I kind of will either listen to the stuff before that or a little bit of the stuff after that and kind of shoot around those albums a lot of the time.
They got way better when he started Death Growling again. He mixed the two styles together quite well again. So they're kind of back where they need to be. Of course, I haven't heard the last album. I have no idea how good or bad that is, but there you go. Some people love it. And you know what? Yep. I bought it. I never owned it because I just could never, but I found it at a record show for $5 on CD. I don't know, 6 years ago. And I was surprised how many hits were on it. It was like hit after hit after hit. And the hits, you know, like Unforgiven, they're good songs. See, it's just not what I want to listen to when I listen to Metallica.
It was massively disappointing when it came out, especially because by then, even though I was young, I was like 14, I was already listening to Sepultura and Morbid Angel and stuff. And I got so sick of all the singles, of which there were like 5 or 6 being driven down my throat from the Black Album. But like Don't Tread on Me and Holier Than Thou, all the like deep cuts, even of Wolf and Man, I legit like those songs. I'd still rather listen to Blind by COC, but it's got some tracks, you know. But,
I struggle with COC. When they made the change to that, they left me behind after Technocracy.
I love all COC.
Yeah, 6 songs with Mike. I mean, I love all that era in particular, but
yeah, I know. If for anybody that likes the Black Album, I would never give somebody shit for liking the Black Album. I just do not like the album because, like Pat said, when it came out, I was a big Metallica fan when that came out, and that album was a huge disappointment to me. And I'll admit, I never really got over how much of a letdown that album was. But that is just my opinion. If other folks dig it, that's absolutely cool.
Courtney's Fellowship was asking about Probot. What are your thoughts on Probot?
I'm guessing that's for Pat.
I love it. I think Grohl, each song sounds tailor-made for the vocalist that is on it, and it's surprisingly really good. Maybe a little more Cliff Notes version of the band he's trying to emulate, but still good enough. You put great vocal performances on. I mean, the Lemmy song, Shake Your Blood, sounds like a Motorhead song.
Yeah.
The Eric Wagner song, I can't remember the name of it. Great. Eric Wagner makes that song special. King Diamond, you got Kronos from Venom. Kronos sounds awesome. I mean, all the songs are solid. I don't know. What were you gonna say? I cut you off. What were your thoughts?
I haven't heard it since it came out. I specifically remember a lot of people not into metal being into it. I remember thinking this sounds like exactly what it is. It's a super fan who loves metal, who doesn't play in metal bands, writing his idea of what every vocalist that's singing on the tracks, like doing little tributes to them. And in and of itself, I think it's fine.
Torture.
There are certain songs on it that I thought were terrible, like the Kurt Brecht from DRI song is really fucking bad.
Yeah.
The Lemmy song is good, but Lemmy's like one of those people that can sing over somebody farting in a snare drum and it sounds cool.
Yep.
In my humble opinion, obviously a little biased there. You know, it's got its moments. I'd have to listen to it again. It's literally been like however long, 20 years now since I've heard it. So whatever.
All right. I think it's Pat's turn.
Somebody just showed Draconian Time. So I think that rotates us back to Pat.
All right. Polish black metal, Christ Agony.
I haven't listened to that band in a long time.
Moonlight Act 3. I have the one before this, which is Act 2, Demon Sooth.
Mm-hmm.
Really good, interesting band. I was expecting more like kind of mid-paced, non-stereotypical black metal upon the opening, but it opens with some screeches and some blasts that are pretty standard, like black metal fare, but then it goes into lots of good riffs. There's some really cool clean vocals that are almost kind of gothy on this. Lots of like mid-paced churning, double bass throughout. Yeah, it's got a lot of acoustic moments. It's very atmospheric. It's great. It's got great riffs. Yeah, really enjoyable black metal of its own, pretty much of its own style. I'd say maybe for fans of like Ceremony of Opposites, maybe that this will work for you if you really like that record, although not super similar, But yeah, excellent, mature, well-produced Polish black metal stuff.
All right.
Yeah, that's an awesome pick, Pat. I like those two Christ Agony albums a lot. Yeah, they do have a different style. You're right. The songs kind of run long, and they kind of get into a little bit of that trancey mode where they kind of keep repeating things, but it works. Yeah, they were a real early band on the Polish scene. They kind of got squeezed out, unfortunately, in later years when the Polish scene started to get more and more radical. Christ Agony was one of the bands that kind of started getting picked on a lot for not being, fascist enough to hang with the rest of the scene. They were kind of like, Nurgle, same situation. They kind of turned on those two. Those were two of the bands that got turned on for not wanting to, start raising the right hand salute all the time, I guess.
Yeah, they were more along the lines of like another old awesome Polish black metal band that had more of like a mid-paced kind of weird thing going on, which was like Pandemonium. That band Pandemonium, that kind of deal.
Yep. Yeah, I had I actually did a tape trade with someone in Poland back in it would have been around 96 or 97. They sent me like a couple of 90-minute tapes packed with a lot of Polish black metal bands from early in the scene. That was really cool. It took like 2 months for the package to get to Texas. And when I got it, the whole package was held together with rubber bands. There was almost no packaging material that had survived the trip. I was amazed they actually got there. All right. Well, Marty listened to that atrocity record. I listened to this one.
Well, I did too, obviously for the show, but that's their best. That's a fantastic record.
It is. Yeah. It was really cool that y'all picked it to cover on the show. I hadn't heard it for a while, but and I didn't have it before. And replaying it's just like, I should poke around and see if I can find a copy of this. I'd looked before and they're hard, they're a little hard to find, and it's kind of pricey because it's been out of print. I lucked out and found one copy on sale online for $20. So I was like, okay, yes, it's not mint. It's got, some condition things, but for $20, I'll take it. So yeah, a lot of folks will be familiar with this one. As Marty said, it's gotta be their best. Some people do like Hallucinations better, and you can make a case for that.
It's messier.
It is messier, but it is still a great listen. Just really cool, well done, technical, kind of progressive, early 90s death metal, very gloomy kind of atmosphere to it, which kind of makes it also kind of neat. This is one of those albums you can play it and play it and play it, and you'll still find new things and notice new sections. I don't have a long history with it, not to try to pass it off as something I'm an expert on. I'm late to the band, but I've really enjoyed the first two albums, and I finally have a hard copy of one of the two, so happy I could pick this up. And yes, go check out the deep discussion Marty, Killen, Jim, and TJ had on that one for all the juicy details.
All right. Digging around in a box of CDs, and this was laying in here. I have no idea how long I've been in here. Never listened to it until this week. And it, like all their albums, is quite good. And I can't read the damn... okay. Severe Torture, Sworn Vengeance. This is a promo sleeve. These things are so easily lost in a collection. It's not even freaking funny. But what'd I say? Sworn Vengeance. These guys, I've always liked them. And brutal death is something out of the pantheon of death metal. I listen to it the least, but when I get in the mood for it, I really dig it. But the thing about Severe Torture is they don't sound like your typical brie type of, pingy snare, suffocation worship, brutal death band. These guys are they're from the Netherlands. They sound like they got a little bit of early Sinister in here. I want to say Dutch. They sound very Dutch, but I don't know if Dutch and Netherlands is correct. National.
Yeah.
Is that correct? I don't know.
I believe so. Yeah.
But very Dutch sounding. It's excellent, well written. The songs are brutal, but they maintain just a sinister death metal vibe to it. It doesn't, like I said, doesn't have the pinging snare. There isn't a guy in a diaper, an extreme obscene concert jumping around with the water wings on or something. It's
wait, what?
You've ever seen the obscene extreme shows on was it the Czech Republic? They have that fest.
Yeah.
A bunch of brutal bands. People are wearing diapers and they have all these pool floaties they jump into the pit with.
There's usually a banana.
There's a guy dressed as a banana. There's people not wearing any clothes jumping around on stage. It's weird, but
let's not gloss over this for the uninitiated. Why does this happen?
Because it's brutal, man. It's brutal. I don't know.
Nothing says slam like water wings.
They couldn't afford a Glory Hammer show, so they took their water wings over to the obscene extreme fest and danced around on stage in diapers. It's fine.
It's like, I don't know if it has something to do with that band Party Cannon and like.
What's the other one? The
Guttleaxe,
Yeah, Guttleaxe. We were laughing about them the other day. We watched the video in band practice and listened to some of their stuff. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, because it's the Czech Republic.
I'm just going to sit here and blink for a while and let y'all go on, please.
So yeah, Severe Torture. I would recommend, if you're not familiar with this band, check them out. They've got a run of albums. They're all, what I've heard, I've got 3 or 4 of them. They're all really good. Excellent band. Patrick.
All right. So I've made a couple of big Discogs orders, like ordering a bunch of different South American stuff, if you couldn't tell already. This was really interesting to me because when people think of South American, particularly Brazilian, death and black metal and anything related, they usually think of the more bestial leaning stuff. Everybody goes to Sarcophago and early Sepultura and all that kind of thing. Not always. There's a lot of other stuff going on. Lots of great hardcore down there too. But this is a band called Strangulation, and this is more like classic techie death metal. Like I'm talking about like early Atheist and Death Human style. Like nothing crazy. We're not talking like Brain Drill or something like that. This is of that era too. I think mid 90s, and it also has like Tascam, like really raw production. But the crazy kind of jazzy sort of riffs and everything like that. And it's a really cool listen. The band's excellent. Really, really well played and everything. I kind of prefer the raw production with this. I know that like really clean production works better for that style, but it's interesting to hear it like a roughshod kind of Brazilian production with that kind of dizzying riff structures and everything. Cool band that I had no idea existed until I just like came across this on Discogs and somebody's distro. So it's called Between Nothing and Eternity.
Strangulation.
Great Fear song too.
Isn't everything between nothing and eternity?
True.
I mean, does that leave anything out? I'm making this harder than it has to be.
I don't know.
Just like you get from there to there. It's like, that's pretty all encompassing. I'm still processing this whole water wing thing. So sorry. Okay. Okay. This is a weird one. This is an album by Negative Space. I always want to say Negative Place, but it's Negative Space. Kudos for the cover graphics there.
I want a shirt of that.
Yeah, this looks absolutely baller on merch. I tell you what. The deal here, though, this is an old thing that's been reissued. This was a band from New Jersey that did this one album back in 1970. It was basically an independent press that they, obviously did themselves, took to stores to sell on commission by themselves. obviously didn't get much traction, and over time it became one of those kind of mythical collectible things from the real early days of when heavy metal was still kind of do you call it metal, do you call it acid rock, where does it fall? But yeah, it always developed this kind of legendary status, so it has gotten a couple of reissues over the years. I came across it as like, I've never heard it. But okay, so it's got this reputation. I'll blind buy it. This was not a good use of my $16. I'm just going to say it. It has a really promising title. The cover is blank, but the album's title is technically Hard, Heavy, Mean, and Evil. It's like, well, I like all those things. I should like this album. This album's kind of hard, maybe a little bit heavy. It's not very mean, and it certainly ain't evil. So there's some definite misdirection going on with the marketing here. It's not awful at all, but again, it's got this reputation for being like Blue Oyster Cult. No, sorry, not Blue Oyster Cult. Blue Cheer, but real metal, or the East Coast U.S. version of Black Sabbath.
One of those.
Yes, it's one of those. And so it's like, no, it's not. There were a lot of unsung bands who were playing, in that kind of style before. I don't get that vibe from the Negative Space album. To me, it sounds, just pretty straightforward 70s hard rock. Ain't awful, but this is not something I would write home about. So I'd say, if you see this, and it's got hype stickers and stuff on it saying that, it's like, Paranoid, but better because it's cool and underground and you've never heard of it. Yeah. Pull it up on your phone, play a few clips on YouTube before you plunk down cash, because this does not impress me. It's a swing and a miss on that one. It's going to happen sometimes, but it is at least kind of neat to finally hear what the album is about. It just doesn't seem to be one for me.
Courtney's Fellowship says it's not metal in my opinion. She's calling it psych rock.
I kind of agree, Courtney. I don't it's kind of like the Blue Cheer issue. That album is loud by itself doesn't make a metal album. The Blue Cheer album is very, very just bluesy. It's bluesy hard rock turned up really loud. I like some of the Blue Cheer songs, but it's not metal. This one, yes. This one's not even as loud as Blue Cheer, in my opinion. So I just don't think it's got too many big selling points. But c'est la vie. Marty, show us something cool.
Well, I have finally here in the last, 6 months or so, filled in the holes of my Godflesh collection, and there were several of them. Some of these records aren't cheap to get, even on CD, but World Lit Only by Fire. I have to be in the mood for Godflesh, but when I'm in the mood for Godflesh, I listen to a lot of Godflesh. There's just the plotting minimalism of it. It's like a blunt force trauma sonically. And over the years, I have my favorites, Selfless being one of them. Their self-titled EP, full length or whatever, it was made into a full length. My favorite as well. But I've gotten so I really enjoy Godflesh being mechanical. I like it when they use the drum machine. When they have a real drummer, it's still good. It's just different. The band is kind of different for me, but this is a good one. World Lit Only by Fire. Again, repetitive, minimal, just hammering, unrelenting. Justin Broderick's vocals are vicious. The songs, in spite of being super repetitious, are still good. It's not so much about the song, I guess, with Godflesh. It's more about the delivery. But when they do something, melodically powerful, it makes it that much more emotive and impact. There's more impact. So you have to sit and withstand the hammering for a while to get that sweet payoff, more or less. But it's a band I like, or I've talked about. There's going to be a deep dive on this band, a ranking at some point on here. It'll probably won't be a Friday. It'll be just its own separate thing. Might be with myself, just by myself, or with somebody else. We'll see. But yep, Godflesh, a world lit only by fire. Good record. I've enjoyed it.
All right.
Alrighty
So-
then. Pat is back.
Let me mix things up a little bit. Veer away from metal for like, this is pretty much the only non-metal, metal adjacent selection that I have. This is a reissue of a later Disorder record. They were a British punk band that ended up moving to Norway in the early 90s, I want to say. They moved back to Britain.
The
They're
whole
one of those
whole band moved. That's kind of interesting.
two members moved and then got the rest of the lineup fleshed out when they got to Norway. And then it's one of those bands now where it's just one guy, this guy named Taff, who plays bass and sings, I think that he's the only guy on this, but they were still in Norway for this. Regardless, they're one of those bands. They're kind of like very, very close to and played a lot of shows with, kind of the brother band of Chaos UK. Really noisy, blown out, chaotic 80s punk stuff. Kind of proto, not quite crust punk yet, but noisy hardcore punk from the UK. This album, they're getting towards something a little tighter. I wouldn't say it's crossover, but everything's on the money. Everything's in sync, which might be the first album they did that sounded like that. And the results are really good. It's a really, really good hardcore punk record. It's still blown out and noisy and kind of feedbacky, really loud, present, distorted bass. But I remember having this on CD. It came out at some point in the late 90s, I want to say. I had a CD of it and I saw that it got reissued, so I snagged it. But it's a good listen. Everybody listens to their earlier stuff, which again sounds like it's falling apart, which is part of its appeal. This is more cohesive songwriting, and it's great. It's called Sliced Punks on Meat Hooks.
There you go. And Alan's next.
Alrighty. I think I showed these very briefly a few weeks ago because I came in the mail like right before we started the show, but didn't talk about them any. I found these on a distro for $5 a piece. So Hallows Eve, Death and Insanity,
Good album.
and also Hallows Eve Monument.
It's a
It is
grower
kind of
album.
telling that the distro had the first Hallows Eve also. It, however, was not $5.
No.
So you kind of start to see where these things rank right away. But yeah, it was kind of cool revisiting these. I hadn't played them in ages. I used to have them on CD. They got swept out at some point. For $5, I was happy to put them back on the shelf. If folks are only familiar with the self-title, here's kind of the deal. This was album number 2. On this one, they're definitely leaning heavier. They're the first album is just great US power metal. It's got a little bit of thrash, a little bit of speed, stays in the middle of the zone nicely. This one, you definitely feel like they're gravitating towards thrash more and more. It's heavier, faster, more consistently aggressive throughout the album. Still good stuff. I feel like maybe at times the songs get a little bit samey from track to track to track. I can get lost in the track list if I'm not paying attention while I listen. But, still a cool album. This third one, that's an album cover that should only have happened in the 80s.
Yeah, it shouldn't have happened at all, to be honest.
Fair.
Especially for that band. I mean, it makes no fucking sense.
Yeah. This one it has a reputation as being pretty weak. It is the weakest of their original 3 albums. That said, it does still have some decent tracks on it.
It does.
The
title track is a good song.
The title track is a good song. Speed Freak is a very good song.
I don't like that song. They go for the power, but it's just kind of a simple knuckle dragger.
It is simple, but it works as a simple knuckle dragger.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, Monument to Nothing is good. Painkiller's not bad. Mighty Decibel's not bad. Righteous Ones and No Sanctuary are okay. So no, it doesn't have a lot of essential classics. But it's not like it's full of a bunch of duds.
No.
They didn't turn into Biohazard or something on this album. They were still doing kind of heavy, aggressive borderline thrashy metal. So I don't know. I think this band's catalog lives in the shadow of the debut. People love Tales of Terror. I love Tales of Terror, but
Great record. Yeah.
I think it does overshadow these two albums a little bit. So yeah, they were a cool band. Hey, for $5, this album is worth $5. Would I want to have paid $15 to put this back on the shelf? No, I'll admit that. But for $5, I'm perfectly happy playing this once in a great while. It's not that bad a listen at the end of the day. It's only going to seem bad if you want it to be Tales of Terror Part 2. And then, yes, you're going to be disappointed. So, maybe give it a chance. Check it out if you haven't. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised at how many tracks I could instantly remember after just hearing the first few notes on it. It's like, oh yeah, this one's not so bad. So,
I own it on CD and vinyl, and my initial disappointment when I first heard it quickly went away. The songs grew on me, like the Righteous Ones, like you said,
Yeah.
Monument. There's some really good songs on it. It grew on me. It's a grower record. It's good.
Yeah. It's not an A rank kind of record, but yeah, it's not a D or anything either.
They try to get more sophisticated. They try to get a little fancier, a little bit more conventional with their songs, I think.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, at that point, again, that band had been plugging away for 5, 6, 7 years, probably. They're getting older. It's something we saw lots of bands go through as those kids, went from being, 18-year-olds to 25, 26-year-olds, which in the 80s meant by that point you were probably married, had a kid, and had a mortgage and a full-time job. So yeah, priorities changed a lot, as you went through that age range back then.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've waxed philosophical about Hallows Eve long enough. Marty, take it away.
Here's another one. My friend Zoller sent me a bunch of CDs, and this was in there as well. I finally got around to listening to it. This is the 6th album by Salt Lake City, Utah's Judicator, The Majesty of Decay. It's on Prosthetic Records, which is surprising. If you look at the back cover, it looks like it'd be woodsy black metal type of stuff. The front cover, kind of inconspicuous, kind of hard to tell what the hell this even is, but it's their 6th album. They are a US power metal band, and about 3 songs into this, I'm like, you know what? This sounds like a band that's been around for a while, kind of at the end of their career, just kind of going through the motions. Good, solid, but nothing remarkable. I remember the singer being a little frail sounding to me, but I don't know, about 3/4 of the way through the album, I started to kind of like it. I don't know. Enough so where I decided I'm going to hang on to it. This was going in an Allen pile, but I'm going to probably spin it a few more times to make sure that's actually going to happen. But this might be dwelling on one of your racks one of these days, Alan. But
yeah,
I've
never checked out the band. I've heard good things about them.
And looking at the Metal Archives thing, this album is their 6th. It came out in 2022, and it is the least ranked. It's 79%. So they started out high percentage and they've gone lower as they've gone. So for that, I kind of get the feeling that they've been around for a while and it just going through the motions, but still not having the context of their other albums before it. On its own, I think it's a solid record. I just don't know. It seemed very lengthy too. That's another thing. How many songs are on here? There's 10 songs on here. They're, longish, but I don't know. It's worth closer inspection. It hasn't hit the door yet, but interesting band. It was an interesting listen for sure.
Yeah. You never know with those Metal Archives reviews.
True.
After what you see on the Saxon discography page on Metal Archives is not something that should be allowed to exist the way people have ranked those albums.
Yeah.
It's just it is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just very, very wrong.
Gotta take it with a salt lick sized grain of salt.
Right on, Matt M. Awesome. Glad to hear we could be helpful, especially with Halloween. Yay. Awesome. All right, Pat, you're up.
All right. So new Afterbirth.
I haven't heard it yet. I need to get that. I haven't got around to it yet.
In but not of. And I have the CD that compiles all their early demo material and all that stuff, which is very forward thinking even for its time. Really early example of like toilet flushing brutal vocals. For those who don't know, this features Big Will from the Heavy Hole podcast and Artificial Brain, Buckshot Facelift, Long Island guy, great guttural vocalist. And normally I don't like stuff that's proggy like at all, except for a few, like I like King Crimson, whatever. But this gets really dreamy and really weird and goes in a lot of different directions. There's melodic elements. It's got all the brutality you expect from, brutal with 2 O's, death metal and everything, but it's very imaginative, super expansive and engaging. It doesn't navel gaze too much. Like all the songs have a point to them. They go somewhere. And I think it's great. I think it's really, really good. It's been, since I bought it in this whole pile that I've been talking about, the record that I've been spinning the most. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, it got a lot of love last year. I did not check that one out. Just never got across it. But yeah, folks really, really like that one.
Yeah, we did one of their albums for the album club, and I was surprised. Like I said, that style of brutal death I like on occasion, but I put it on and I'm like, wow, this is surprisingly different. They're in the context of the brutal realm, but they're doing different stuff too, and kind of moving the ball forward in that genre a little bit. It was a good record. The one before, I have not heard that one yet, but I'm sure it's really good.
Yeah, they have a couple more from. I got to backtrack and see if the other records they did since they reformed are as good as this one. Probably not as, but I still want to check them out.
All right, Alan.
All right. A late 2023 release that is only begrudgingly going to move out of my CD player is the latest Varathron album.
I have to get that. I have not. In fact, I got to get it on my list. I keep forgetting.
It's quite good. And I don't have a big history with this band. They're one of those, always heard of them, never heard anything by them.
Oh, really?
I've been working on that in the past. I checked out a couple albums in the fall, and then this came out, and it's just like, oh, that's really, really good. For this one, I sprang for the fancy box set CD version, so it's huge.
And hard to get open. Those boxes are always a bitch to get open.
A little bit, yeah. Don't like the grip on it. The reason I went for this one, I mean, it comes with a poster, which is, yeah, sure, nice image, but I'm really not that interested in.
Was that a rake he's holding up? Is they out to try to make some money raking grandma's lawn in Greece around Athens?
I will. Now that you've asked, let's go back and look.
Is it a rake?
I don't know. I don't think you.
Oh, it's an unholy symbol. Sorry.
It's all grape leaves, though.
Yeah.
How dare you disparage the great Greek black metal staff as a rake? More doom on you, sir.
I will rake the maple for Satan. Yes.
But yeah, the poster fine, the box fine. The reason I paid extra to get this version was the other little goodie it came with. You get a box of tarot cards, and that on one side spell out Varathron, and the art they did for each tarot card, there's one per song on the album.
That's pretty neat.
Which is pretty sweet. And some of them I like too, the fact that they did make it a point, at least some of them, if not all of them, do resemble actual tarot imagery with like the Hanged Man and death and all that stuff. I don't know the tarot well enough to know if all of these match up, but yeah, the art is pretty cool. It's just like, it's cheesy. I'll never use them for anything, but I love them and want them, and shut up and take my money. I must have them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Every now and then, yes, they get me with one of the weird extras. But musically, this is such a good album. It's got a great, bright production, but the music still sounds all murky and mystical, the way you want Greek black metal to sound. They use a nice wide range of Mediterranean and Eastern European instrumentation. They don't overdo it, but they don't underdo it either. They mix it in really well, so it feels like it's an important part of the music without just being like a cheap throw in, or without completely taking over the sound. Every song has its own personality. They all stand apart really, really it's a fantastic album. I think if it had come out a little earlier in the year, it probably would have been way up there on a lot of people's best of lists. It made mine, and I only got to hear it for a couple of weeks before the end of the year. It's one of those, if I eventually have to re-rank 2023 albums, it'll be higher than where it's at in the video we did. I have no doubt that album's going to climb. It is a really, really good listen if you like Greek black metal.
One of their comeback albums, Stygian Forces of Scorn, get that one too. That one rules. There's some great. It's a great comeback record. Really good stuff.
Yeah, this is a band that, this year moving forward, here and there, and I get the chance, like Pat, when I'm looking through distros, Varathron's going to be one of those things that's going to be like, ooh, well, let's add that to the basket. It's time to
His Majesty at the
band some more.
Awesome.
That's his one that I did hear several months ago, and yes, right away it's just like, yeah, okay, I can use some more of this. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good band for sure.
Yep.
And they stayed, whereas Rotting Christ got a little bit more cinematic and weird. Varathron kind of kept the flame of Greek black metal moving, and secure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We do have a new Rotting Christ album scheduled for May of 2024.
I did like the Rotting Christ from like 10 years ago, that AEIOU, whatever. that you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that one I thought was, even though it was really symphonic and stuff, I dug that one. I heard is it Theogonia was the one before?
That's the last one of theirs that I love. That one rips.
I heard that one's pretty good too.
That's a good ripper. That's a good ripping album for sure.
Yeah, I did like the most recent one. What was it, Heretics? From a few years ago. It's different, but I really I thought on that one they did a great job with that particular style, which they've tinkered with, on some albums. But I thought that one, if nothing else, it sounded very realized. Really good job. If you like that style, if you don't like that particular direction for them, then obviously it wouldn't click.
We all know it started with Triarchy of the Lost Luggage. So
the Lost Luggage, yeah. All righty. I've shown this a bit since Alan reviewed it, but doing all the reviews for Heavy Metallurgy, I'm the guy that edits all the videos and get to hear all the song samples at Harvest for the reviews, and this one really stuck out for me. Zoth Exogalactic. I spun it twice today, as a matter of fact. There's just something stupid fun about this record. It is essentially a techie death metal album. People are throwing around power metal. I get it. The solos are very power metal-esque, but that's really kind of it. It's just maybe the power metal has kind of come in. Yes, it's a level of tech death metal, but the songs aren't so bogged down by weirdness that there's, some melody lines. There's some reoccurring riffs. So maybe that's where the power metal influence comes in as well. But this band is really good. This album is really good. I've been meaning to swing by their Bandcamp and pick up their other 2 CDs as well, but I highly doubt it's as good as this. I could be wrong. Do you have the one before this, Alan?
Yes, Interdimensional something.
Is it good?
It is very good. It's not, it's a little rougher around the edges than that one, but it's very much in the same vein. If you like this one, I think you would like that one too. The first album I have not heard in a while. I remember that one maybe being a little too raw in the sense that the sound hadn't quite gelled. There are people who really like it. The first one just struck me as like, you probably needed to demo this material for a while more before putting this one out. But the second album and that one there, they've definitely got their sound down pat now.
But yeah, Ryan's right. It's killer sci-fi death metal. It's good. And these guys are hitting the road this year too. They think they got a booking agent and they're moving and shaking. And plus I think there's also a YouTube channel where the guitar players do a lot of playthroughs, which would be kind of interesting. I haven't got around to watching it yet, but go check them out. This is a fun album. It's fun. It's fun. They're putting a little bit of fun into the techie sci-fi death metal realm. Cool artwork too. It's a cool cover. Yep. But yeah, Zoth Exogalactic.
Awesome. I like anything with an X that sounds like a Z.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a simple guy. I like simple things. What can I say?
Hey, it's got a letter X and lots of tentacles. How can you possibly go wrong?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So carrying along with all the Brazilian deep dive stuff, it was hard for me to pull the trigger on this one because of the name. It's Lucifer, like Rudy Ray Moore, Petey Wheatstraw, double son-in-law spelling. Lou, like it's a guy. Loucy.
Well, what was it in Angel Heart? Lewis Cipher was
Lewis Cipher.
yeah.
Yeah. I bought that. I got that United Forces book, that zine compilation, and I went every time I do this. Every time I buy one of those books, like the Finnish death metal book or crossover book, I end up like buying a bunch of stuff that I read about. And the editor, the guy that wrote the zine, he actually is the guy from that Brazilian grindcore band Rot. He spoke very highly of Lou Cipher, and they are great. I mean, if you dig raw South American black metal, like Hades from Peru with a Z, Hades, or Impurity, of course, Sarcophago, that kind of stuff. It's raw, it's bestial, but it's not like blasphemy, revenge. You can hear what's going on. It's got kind of loose blasts, blast beats that sound like they're all on the toms. I don't know if there's any kick involved. I'm not a drummer, so I don't want to get over my head there. But like relatively simplistic riffs, really inhuman, growly vocals, of course, kind of echoey, raw recording. And it's got that primal atmosphere that all the great Brazilian bands have. And I'd never heard of them until I read that omnibus. And it's a cool recording. It's Worship Flesh is the name of the full length, and there's a bonus on there. What is your pleasure? Of course, Cogumelo had to put this annoying, ugly, like built-in OBI strip on the spine there. But yeah, Lou Cipher, good stuff.
Good deal. Pat, what did you think of that book overall? I bought it also, but you know that scene so much better than I do.
I mean, I know it a lot better now. Like it was very in depth. I like that compilation because it's not just. I think zine omnibuses are fine. I got the one that the Billy from Razorback did of his old zine too, which is just a compilation of zines, which is great. It's great to read old interviews. But what's nice about the United Forces, it's kind of like the Metallian one where he's telling his story of
very much.
That's what the biographical aspect of it is really cool. And I mean, it's got the original zines all in there. There's not a ton of them. I think there were 7 or something, and they're all in Portuguese. Obviously I can't read those, but they translated not all of each one, but a significant portion of each one, which is really, I mean, it's like this thick. And I mean, I got it for like $35. It was a steal. Brazilian points usually has really good prices. I highly recommend it. If you want to learn more about Brazilian metal, like it's a very good resource. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good book, and you're right. You could give a monkey a concussion with that book. It's a brisk.
No, and Eric mentioned that Zombie Dance book. I really want to read that too. I don't know where to look for that, but I'm gonna probably try to seek it out as well because I'm sure that's got some great info too.
All right, Alan.
All right, picked this up not long ago, browsing at the local used store. Had never heard it, but have always heard people say good things about it. It is the White EP from Adarac. And this was, again, sort of a blind buy because I did not know musically what it was going to be like. But I remember when it came out, people praised it a lot. So I was like, sure, we'll give it a chance. This is the one that is, focused on, more acoustic folky sounds. It's really not metal music the way you normally would think of it. I'm really impressed. I really do see why people made a big deal out of this. It is very, very nicely done. I have no background in neo folk or dark folk or any of that. I can't give you comparisons or evaluate it in that context. All I can say is all the songs are very well done. Some are bright, some are moody, but yeah, it's very beautifully put together and arranged. It includes clips from the Wicker Man movie, the kind of famous British folk horror thing. And usually I don't like movie clips spliced into my music. It just doesn't work for me most of the time. They actually fit really well in this one. They placed them very carefully, and when you you'll listen along and catch what they're talking about, it somehow does sort of accentuate the music. There's almost no lyrics to any of these songs. Again, they're just playing, acoustically for the most part. But yeah, reading around about it after hearing it a few times, like one review I thought put it really, really well, that if the Mantle album was all about sort of the grayness and the death that we associate with winter, then this EP is all about spring and kind of continuing that cycle where death ends and life comes back around. Really kind of blown away at how good this EP is. And again, it's 30 minutes of 7 acoustical songs with some movie clips spliced in. Nothing about that should really work for me. And this really works for me. I'm really, really glad I took a chance on this one and picked it up. I've played it a lot, and I will continue to play it a lot. I think it's really excellent. It lives up to its reputation, at least in my opinion.
All right. Yeah, I was going through kind of looking at the pile of crap I listen to on a regular basis out in the shop, and discovered I listen to a lot of Sargeist. This is, I think, their latest full-length Unbound. I'm a big fan of the Finnish black metal stuff, and it's a slippery slope because some of it contains members that have, political viewpoints that probably aren't great. They're definitely not great. I don't know much about this band as far as Shatrog from Horna's in it, and I know he's been under the radar or under the microscope for a while, but I have all the Sargeist stuff. I enjoy the hell out of it. I think it's really well done, raw, Finnish black metal. I like it better than Horna. I do like some Horna records, but the Sargeist stuff it's more raw, it's more primitive, but yet the songwriting is still predominantly Finnish, really dissonant melodic dissonance. There, even though the riffs are really buzzing with a lot of distortion, there's still some dissonant harmonies that arise out of it, which is really cool. But yeah, I dig Sargeist, and this is their, I think, latest full-length Unbound. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I've got all of it, but it's just all kind of scattered amongst my desk out in the shop. So Sargeist Unbound, check it out. Good Finnish black metal. Patrick.
All right. Well, since we're talking about problematic stuff we're enjoying, and also talking about stuff that like you've known is a big deal, but you've not gotten a chance to check out.
Yep.
I just got this in the mail today and spun it while I was putting away dishes, and I hope I don't mess up the pronunciation. Ophthalmia.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, yeah. I've seen plenty of people talk about this. I knew it was like kind of doom, kind of black metal. I looked it up. It's like, John Nodevite and It from Abruptum. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, musically, incredible. Like the riffs, it's weird how it's like doomy, and they have a little bit of Sabbath, but not too much. It doesn't go into the super woody, like Volume 4 Master Reality kind of stuff. It's just like a little bit of gloomy riffage that's kind of noodly and just perfect. Loads of like emotion behind it. Great kind of vocals. I don't know. Just my first impressions on it. It's awesome. I mean, I can see why it's regarded as a classic. Dan Sueno produced, right? Yeah. Did not even know about the Nodevite connection until I looked it up.
Actually, it's not John. Emil Nodevite is in Ophthalmia, which is John's
okay,
brother.
well, I'm totally wrong then.
Unless John's on that one. I know Emil's on the second one, Via Dolorosa.
I could have sworn he sang on this, but maybe
I know the second album, Legion from Marduk, sings on. The third album, Dominion, all sings on it from that band Vondor.
Okay.
So I don't know for exact. Well, I could look it up. Hold on one second. I can tell you.
John is on the first. Yeah, this is the first, right?
He might have been in it then. A Journey in Darkness lineup. It just says Shadow, RIP 2006. So it's probably John Nodevite.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he sang on that. Okay.
Yeah, he does. So yeah,
right on.
Not the best of people.
No. No, he turned out to be kind of a shitty human for sure, but talented shitty human, but shitty no less.
Fact.
Alan. Are you drinking one of those Finnish long drinks?
Nope. I just got my normal Kona Big Wave.
One of these days, Alan, when you're out buying stuff, you should
Mhm.
buy like a 6-pack of these.
Sweet Josie.
What is this?
Finnish long drink.
Don't know if I've seen that
It's
around.
got juniper. It's like it tastes like a I want to say like a White Claw, but actually really delicious, and they kind of kick your butt really quick. It's 5.5%, but yeah, they're really good. I think you'd like it.
Finnish long drink. I will keep it in mind next time we run out of beer.
The different color cans, the black can I think is the most highest octane. So look at the red is cranberry, the blue is just the normal kind of middle run, but
Okay.
yeah, it tastes like a plant. Exactly.
I don't have to collect all the different colored cans like there's some kind of godforsaken Stanley cups, do
Check
I?
the alcohol content because the different color cans are the white I think is the least potent, the black is high octane. I mean, a couple of them you'll be pulling out your sex condor. Flying through the house. Anyway. I think Alan's next. Yep.
All right. Let's do another one that I mentioned in a review, but I wanted to give the band one more shout out. Some more Melodeath. If Upon Stone sounded interesting, check this band out. Also, Bezamora from Australia. The name comes from it's Slavic demon mythology. So that's what a Bezamora is. It's called, I always get the title wrong, Delusional Monster. So this is their debut EP. And once again, they're very much working in sort of, a modern Melodeath sound where they take the old classics and, kind of bring in some elements from all the bands that have been influenced by that style over the past 20 years. So something like the guitar styles and stuff are a little bit different. For a debut EP, it's quite impressive. Liked it a lot. I've played it a lot on my commute back and forth because it's a short, easy listen. Songs are put together well. They've got a couple of notable guest appearances on here. If you dig those kind of things, they've got a pretty nice professionally done video for one of the tracks. So they're definitely trying to put a lot of effort and get their name out there. And a very good EP. Not a whole lot more to say about it. You can watch the full review for all my thoughts, but it's quite good and deserves a shout out for fans of melodic death metal. I'm glad to see some more melodic death metal getting released here in the past 12 months or so. Majesty's obviously made a splash last year. The third Inexorum album was really, really good from 2022. You've got Upon Stone already out on Century Media here at the start of 2024. It's nice to see, some different flavors of death metal starting to get attention once again.
All right. Now let's talk about one I just got here yesterday. I've been seeing people show this, and I was curious. Got a Frank Frazetta cover. This is Helm's Deep with Treacherous Ways.
Oh, yeah. Frank was hyping this one quite a bit in the chat not long back.
This has John Gallagher from Raven on bass and backup vocals. So expect the higher, screechy, awesome vocals that he does. This whole new wave of traditional heavy metal thing, I think the classification is dumb. And I think people would be kind of willing to lump this in with it, but it's just an aggressive heavy metal record. It's just really good, melodically charged, frantic riffs. The songwriting is really good. The vocals, you can hear when John's hitting the background, the high screams in the background. I've only listened to this once, so it hasn't really fully sunk in yet, but it's a ripper. It's a good record. I have ink all over. I'm glad I had the cover on it. I have nothing more to say other than that. It's a super group type of thing. The guy is I think from the US, and he got these other people to be on it. I love the cover of this thing. It's just, I don't like the color they chose for the logo, but other than that, it's a solid heavy metal record, aggressive, melodic, powerful, hard hitting, And it's kind of hard to call something new wave of traditional heavy metal when, you know, some of the band's members have been, or one of the first, one of the early bands in the new wave of British heavy metal. So it seems like the new wave of traditional heavy metal is not so new anymore. It's just aggressive, good, well-written heavy metal. Good record. I didn't need to spend more time with it, but yeah, I dig. Good stuff. It's on Nameless Grave Records. I got it off the Bandcamp for under $20 or $20. I don't know. But,
Oh, nice.
Yep. Good one.
Yeah. Nameless Graves is a pretty cool distro. They're one of the US distros that actually will go out of their way to bring in some more like epic metal and, you know, traditional metal stuff that's, you know, a lot of the labels kind of pass over for more extreme stuff.
Yeah, they carry an interesting range of stuff. I've distroed some of their stuff. They're really easy to work with, super nice people. I like they're very selective in curating like the stuff that they reissue, I noticed. And it's all like pretty banging stuff. And their new stuff is really good too, like Dungeon Serpent and like the new.
Oh, that's right. Dungeon Serpent's on there.
Love that record. So, yeah.
Yeah, this rips. The first song in particular on this record, it's a ripper. Really good, aggressive, heavy metal. Awesome.
Yeah. I've heard it a couple of times, Marty. It kind of got lost last year, to be honest. But yeah, I remember playing it, thinking, like, wow, that's really solid. I'll play it some more. Now it's January and I haven't played it anymore.
No, and like I said, I've seen like 3 or 4 people show it in their year-end list. I'm like, okay, John Gallagher. I respect Raven. Do I love all Raven? I don't, but what I do like, I like a lot. So yeah, it's worth checking out. And it does. It doesn't sound like Raven. It doesn't sound like Raven. So
no,
don't go in expecting it to be that, because it's not. But
no, that's a good point. Good public service announcement there.
Yeah. Anyway, Pat, I'm gonna go use the little boys' room while you go on to the next one there.
Okay, I got next. More Brazilian stuff. Chacal. The Man is His Own Jackal. This is the second, and also on here is the third album too, which is not that great. Death is a Lonely Business is the third one. Brazilian thrash, very much like thrash metal. Like there's a rougher edge to it, but it's not like it's not like their debut, which is Abominable Anno Domini, which that record is doesn't sound exactly like, but is comparable to like really early Sodom or like maybe Bulldozer or something like that. Really like rough around the edges, kind of blackish, brutal kind of thrash metal stuff with like gruff vocals, not death metal vocals, but gruff vocals. You could tell it came out like around the same time as the really early Sepultura stuff. Maybe they were influencing each other vocally. I don't know. The vocals on this are a lot more clean and straightforward, which I think I prefer the debut, but this is still like pretty solid. You could tell they were probably getting influenced by more American stuff. Maybe they were listening to Nuclear Assault and Sacred Reich or something like that. It's really good. There's another Brazilian thrash band called Antares, who I also got both of their CDs or 2 of their CDs. I'm not sure how many they have. That band, their second album is like the gang vocals and the mosh parts. It's like super American thrash style. This is a little bit more primal. There's a little bit more like, you know, the first wave of like speed metal kind of mixed in there. You can hear some Venom, Motorhead-ish kind of stuff, but it's a lot more straightforward, kind of cleaned up sort of thrash than their debut. But it's very good. If you like thrash metal, if you like Brazilian stuff, I'd say definitely check it out. It's not very black metal or bestial or anything like that. So it's more along the kind of more streamlined thrash lines.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only person that reads a book and then ends up starting to purchase all the things you just read about. I've been really good so far on not going deep on stuff from United Forces, just because I'm it's January. I'm paying bills. I'm not buying a lot of stuff, period. But you're making it hard, Patrick.
I'm still waiting on a Discogs order from Colombia that's like 10 CDs, and I mean it's coming from Colombia, so it's taken forever.
Yeah.
And it's not just Brazilian either. There's Peruvian stuff and Chilean stuff in there. But.
Yes, yeah. I always wondered if other people did that, because I did the same with the finished death metal book. It's like, ooh, this sounds interesting. Ooh, this sounds interesting.
Big time. With the finished death metal book. The finished death metal book, I knew a lot about finished death metal already. I checked out a few things, but I was more curious about backtracking into like finished thrash and stuff like that because I didn't.
Mhm.
I got a bunch of Stone stuff after I read that book. Like I got like 3 or 4 Stone records because I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
gotta check this band out. So
Yeah, they don't necessarily speak kindly of some of that Finnish thrash and speed stuff in the
I mean, to be
the book.
fair, you have to be in the mood for like really subpar thrash, which was like a big thing with me in 2022 and early 2023. I was like, I want to hear your most non-remarkable thrash album. Like, that was what I was, for some reason. I don't know. I mean, I was rocking Zentrix and shit. Like, it got a
Zentrix
little
is a
dark,
tough
it got a
sell for
little
me.
weird.
That's the Stone. I only had the one Stone album with the V guitar monuments and the
Yeah, that's a
And
great record.
I got that for $1 from Camelot Music back in the day. I listened to it twice. I'm like, this sucks, and gave it away. Yeah.
It's
Now
it's,
I might
it's
like it, but then I didn't.
that one's decent in my opinion. The one, what is it? No Anesthesia or something. There's like a guy in like a dentist chair on the cover. That one's better in my opinion. It's a little bit better production, not as thin sounding and stuff, and a little bit more aggressive. But anyways, yeah, average thrash. That was my.
Patrick's listening to things. He's like, that's pretty good, but do you have anything more mundane?
I can't wait for Simon to show that OG press that he finds out in Australia of that Gothic Slam record. Just another face in the crowd, bro.
I used to own it. I flipped. But Who Died and Made You God is a classic from my youth. That and Weapons of Our Warfare by was it Deliverance, the Christian band.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good Christian thrash band album.
All right, Alan.
All right, I'm gonna pee. I'll be right back.
We'll wait here.
Okay, don't go anywhere.
Yes, we will. It's not like we can go with him.
No,
that would be
never
awkward
crossed
and weird, even if we could.
Dreams, no.
All right. The next up, something else I pulled out of the used bin with the Adarac CD was this one from Asphyx. It's called Death Hammer, and I had not heard it before. Asphyx is one of those bands that know the first couple, and then I just never come across their stuff for whatever reason. They're big enough that I'm always surprised that I don't occasionally stumble over a used Asphyx CD here and there. And I just don't. So this time I did, so I bought it. And it literally just was like, it's an Asphyx album. Is that one with Van Drunen on it?
It
is.
Is
that one of the weird ones from the middle? I don't know.
That's their second comeback album.
Yeah, I figured that. Yes, you told me about it. When I checked in with you that night, I'm just like, "What's this?" And you're like, "Oh, that one's okay." But yeah, played it a few times, and I do like it. Yeah, this one seems to be kind of evenly split between songs, that are relatively fast, in their death metal style. But there's also a lot of songs on here that are much slower and crank up the doom vibes. So they kind of put the doom back in death doom for some of these songs. They seem to work pretty well in both modes. Some of the slower ones, maybe again, I'm only played it a few times. First impression is the slower songs maybe sometimes are drag just a little bit, but I like that style in general, and I like the fact that they mix it up, that it's not all just the death metal songs, and that it's also not just all the death doom songs. The fact that it goes back and forth kind of mixes it up nicely. So yeah, if you put used Asphyx CDs for $8 in front of me, I'll pick them up and start filling out more of the catalog. It's just one of those things. I'm never really thinking to order them or look for them online. But if I can find them in the wild for this kind of price, I'm more than happy to pick them up. They seem pretty good. Question for you, Marty, and anybody else. Are there ones I need to avoid? Because I don't know.
The
I know they went through a lot of lineup changes.
The self-titled.
Self-titled's pretty boring. Yeah.
It doesn't have Van Drunen. It's okay, but you need to have the rack. The rack is absolutely crushing.
Yeah, that's back there.
The album before that one, called Death the Brutal Way, it's their first comeback record. It's really good. Death Hammer, I liked it, but I thought it was kind of less. It was diminished from Death the Brutal Way.
I really liked the last one. I
have not heard it. I have not heard it yet.
I don't know if it's Necroceros or Necroceros, like rhinoceros.
I hope it's Necroceros because that sounds awesome. It's like a dead rhinoceros.
Yeah. Whatever the pronunciation is. I thought that was really, really good.
At this point, it's this Martin Van Drunen is the only OG Asphyx member left. I mean,
yeah.
I
want to say they had like a weird, like, I don't know, like I want to say they had a weird album, like not a Feel Sorry for the Fanatic level of weird, but like something that was kind of out of pocket, but I might be wrong. Like maybe I'm just imagining that. Doesn't really matter. But
Asphyx. I can spell. Okay, let's see. Netherlands.
Was it God Cries? Was God Cries like kind of a weird one?
That's with Theo Lumen's last album.
Okay.
Then he got hit by a train and died.
Oh,
yeah, the original vocalist came back for that one. My Wings of Inferno. That's got the dude from.
I have that one.
That's
I like that one.
Gannis Vanis. He was in Soulburn and also, oh my God, the band that starts with a P, Pentacle. Okay. He sounds just like Van Drunen. That on Wings of Inferno is okay. Death of Brutal Way, good. Death Hammer, good. I have not heard Incoming Death or Necroceros. Necroceros. Yeah,
we could do things with this Necroceros. We're past the sex condor. We kind of need a new mascot.
We do.
Like a Weird Al, like Manila Road cover of like, Necropolis. We're living in, hanging out by the river Styx. Like
lost in Necroceros. In the zoo by the rhinoceros cage.
Monarch from Venture Brothers.
It is building. I can feel its rage.
He was in Depeche Mode. Anyway, sorry.
Lee, if you're listening, Lee, there may come a day.
The Necroceros, it's coming. Yep.
I feel like God Cries might have been the weird one, but
I might be trying to make fetch happen this year with Necroceros. I'm liking this.
There's somebody that gave God Cries a 3% on.
It's not a bad record. I don't hate it. I don't hate the self-titled either, but it's pretty boring.
You know how everybody titles their reviews like it's a article worth reading. Mm-hmm. It's called The One That Got Away, 3%.
Take that.
And then
Theo Lumens, take that. Yeah.
It sounds like one of those Amazon reviews where they've given it 5 stars and then you read the review and it's 2 words. It says, "This sucks." And you're just like, you seem very confused about how this rating system works.
Martin Van Peebles. That changes the demographic of that band 100%.
We've had that and Martin Van Buren invoked. Martin Van Buren's also dead, but hey, if we can resurrect a rhinoceros, we could also resurrect Martin Van Buren. He could be riding the Necroceros.
He could be. Boy, the Necroceros, we could battle Angus McSix's laser shooting dinosaur. Just saying.
It'd be the cover of the next Alan Land album.
Oh yeah, you better get practicing. We'll make it happen.
If people are not familiar with Alan Land, it's Russell Allen and Jorn Landa doing the song. So the cover of every album shows 2 different random like creatures or robotic creatures or kaiju like facing off. And they're all titled like The Showdown. And you'll have like a robotic pterodactyl versus a triceratops and stuff. Every album seems to look that way. They're all kind of funny.
Martin Van Records. Okay. Anyways.
All righty then. It's up to me here. Yeah.
Yes. You were up, Marty, after I sidetracked us with our Necroceros.
Violence Oppressing the Masses.
Okay, cool.
We did a Violence Eternal Nightmare stream on the Album Club a couple weeks ago, and it got me excited to check this one out. I think this is better album than Eternal Nightmare. I still like, I don't know, is it better album? I think the songs are a little more mature. Does that make sense?
Oh yes. Mature is the perfect word.
Mature. They're a little more streamlined but still crazy and energetic. God, why can't I remember his name? Killian. Sean Killian. Yeah. God, I'm looking at his face and I can't figure it out. But Sean Killian's lyrics are super thought-provoking, social, political, aware, politically aware type of lyrics, violent. I don't know, A World in a World. I remember seeing that video on MTV and it completely blew me away. How much better they seemed than on the debut, and I love the debut. His voice is obviously a bone of contention for a lot of people. He's one of those. He's kind of like the King Diamond of thrash. You either love his vocals or you hate his vocals, and
It was a big stumbling block for me for the longest time.
it was for me initially too. But I ended up really liking it, and it's almost a punk kind of delivery, which I also kind of like as well. So
that's the funny thing. Like I hate it when I think I heard of them when I was a kid, and then I stumbled across them when I was like rediscovering thrash in the late 90s. And I remember me and my friend Mike were like, this guy can't sing on time. What the hell? And then but I'm like, what? I think about all my favorite hardcore vocalists, especially like the New York guys and stuff. They're wicked mush mouthed and like behind the beat. You know what I mean? I'm like,
well, that's very good. He's very punky, I think.
Yeah.
In his, I don't know, but Rob Flynn was never better than this. Sorry, Machine Head people. He just never was. And I know he was in Forbidden for a hot minute too, but him and Phil Demmel were a great guitar duo on these early Violence records. And granted, Machine Head moved on to do much bigger things in the world of metal, made bunches of money and commercial success, but this shit rips. Machine Head doesn't rip. And the Yo Boy vibe of it, I've never been able, but people are like, well, what, my eyes burn your eyes or whatever. I'm like, nah.
People swear up and down on that record, and like it should be my wheelhouse. I love the first two Biohazard albums. I love Life of Agony, all kinds of stuff like that. But I listen to it's just so corny because it's like metal dudes trying to do that, like all that Brooklyn stuff, like Roadrunner Brooklyn stuff that got big.
Yeah,
92, 93. That was like kind of, well, I mean, I understand like hip hop culture is also prevalent in the Bay Area too, but I don't know. It just felt like, and especially as it just felt fake, and especially as Machine Head went on, and like they had like the goofy like Coolio braids and stuff. I'm just like, guys, Jesus Christ, oh, there's nothing worse than like people think that like Let Freedom Ring with a Shotgun Blast line is like super awesome. I'm like, that's so fucking corny. I don't know. I can't get into it. I tried because I love a lot of stuff that sounds like that, but it just,
someone comes out wearing a hockey jersey and has cornrows. It's like, okay, chances are I'm not going to like this album.
Yeah. I love, like Sick of It All, Just Look Around, Biohazard, Urban Discipline, Life of Agony, River Runs Red, all kinds of stuff like that. Bands like Bulldoze, like all this like New York hardcore stuff that's, adjacent to that, but I can't. It's just,
but Burn My Eyes was the album for me that it was the last nail in the coffin of US heavy metal. After trying so hard to like that album, I finally just went ahead and consoled myself. I was like, nope, this scene is just fucking dead. If this is the new hotness that everybody's losing their shit about,
that and Pantera,
then this, Pantera,
more like Pantera.
Pantera was, established by that point, and yeah, I had tried them, couldn't get into them. Burn My Eyes is like, it's like, the new breed of thrash and stuff. It's like, okay, I picked it up, I played it a bunch of times, and my conclusion was, you know what? I think the next few years are going to be a good time for me to check out the European metal scene and dig back into a lot of 80s metal, because this just ain't working for me. Sorry. See y'all later. It's why I missed a lot of stuff from the US scene there in like the later 90s, because they're just like, no, that literally was the album where I just said enough. I'm not going to keep buying these and trying, because none of them suit me. And again, some folks in the chat like them. That is absolutely cool, but that style just never clicked for me.
Speaking of Kerry King, is everybody excited about Kerry King's new album that's coming out? And it's actually called Kerry King. Why didn't he like keep the KK logo and just make it like Killer King or something, where it could be its own band name instead of naming it after yourself? I mean, stupid.
You would have had KK versus KK's Priest, and that's too many Ks.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I said it as a joke, but actually now that I've said it out loud, it makes sense at why they couldn't do it.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm interested. It's gonna sound like Slayer, KK Slayer. Yeah,
KK Slayer. There you go, Tim.
yeah, right. It's got Paul Bostaph on drums.
It'll be called Southwest of Heaven.
Oh God.
San Antonio King. Or wait,
with song titles like Angel of Undeath. Yeah.
Can I talk about my one next?
Yes, please get us back on track.
Check out Pressing the Masses. Good violence record. It's good. The last thing that Rob Flynn ever did that was good. Enjoy.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm gonna start like losing my hair even more, and like I'm gonna get tribal tattoos just growing on the side of my head. So I did that grindcore video, and one great thing about coming back and doing this, and one of the reasons I like doing my channel is it's a symbiotic relationship. A lot of people will be like, "Hey, have you heard this? Check this out." And a bunch of people recommended this CD, including Rick from Dreadful Minutes. It's Gore Grind, Fester Decay from Japan. So very much Gore Grind stuff.
Let's hold that up again. Hold that up again. Oh, right on. Okay.
Yeah. Let me see. Reality's Rotten to the Core is the name of it. Got me kind of thinking about gore grind in general and like the state of music now, where there's all these worship genres that it's entire genres based on bands, especially in death and black metal. You know, there's the whole bolt thrower worship thing with Frozen Soul and stuff. There's like Morbid Angel, several bands, if not more
than several.
Yeah, you know, it was Entombed for the longest time, and of course Incantation. The first example of that was gore grind. I mean, that's going back to like General Surgery, like guys from Dismember and some other bands being like, we really like Carcass. Check out the 7-inch we recorded that shows how much we love the first Carcass record, Reek of Putrefaction. And it's amazing how like people have taken that original weird muddy sound and the pitch shifted vocals and all those nuances and really improved on that record. Like, that's not my favorite Carcass record. It's certainly like important, and I love it for what it is. You know, I don't know, probably Symphonies or Necroticism. One of those is probably my favorite, but people love taking that original sound and kind of warping it. This is a really cool take on Gore Grind on that album. There's a lot more groove to it. It gets almost kind of doomy in parts. You know, it's got plenty of blasts. The songs are short. They don't really go over like 2.5 minutes or so. Ultra catchy, ultra, again, tonally low, bassy. It's got that, you know, bassy, low kind of thing that Reek does, but it's produced well, though. It sounds like subsonic, but it's also discernible and super fun listen. So, yeah, if you like that Carcass worship, first Carcass album worship stuff, it should be up your alley. A little bit more palatable than the original article, I'd say. Really cool.
This county medical examiner, Dave brings up a good, it was on this show. Someone was saying, oh yeah, because I showed the show where like bands that sound like other bands. I don't know. I showed it and someone's like, yeah, that's supposed to be that CD is supposed to be a scratch and sniff and smell like death. I'm like, really? And I scratched it and sniffed it. It does. It's the grossest. It's cool, but what's the point of it? But it does. It stinks really fucking bad.
Wasn't the whole kayfabe with that band? It was like kind of like a Brujeria thing where they said they were actual like
morticians,
forensic pathologists or whatever, and they're not, of course. Yeah, it's a cool concept. You know, it's cute.
And then you got the hype sticker on the front from Jeff Walker saying, I am definitely going to, my lawyers are contacting, you know, definitely suing this band. Stupid shit like that.
I mean, this band kind of did their own thing with the gore grind. Like they kept the tone and like maybe some of the riff styles, but kind of went in different directions with it. I feel like county medical examiners, from what I remember, the drummer in my old grind band was really into them. From what I remember, they were just like, it was like Carcass riffs from the first album played backwards, essentially. Like it was very, very close.
All right, Alan.
I'm still chuckling over Tyler's proposal of sleeting blood for the Kerry King album or song. Sleeting blood. Yeah, Tyler gets bonus points for that one. Okay. Sometimes, yeah, like you earlier, Marty, sometimes you see a bad album on the shelf and you think, was it really that bad?
Was it? Yeah.
Well, it's been a while. We can give it another shot. Might work out. Right? Maybe. Kind of.
Sometimes.
Not always.
Ugh, yeah. God, who
Oh,
cares
get the comebacker.
anymore? Who cares
Yeah.
anymore?
At the gates to drink from the night eternal. Even getting the title out of my mouth is a chore. To drink from the night eternal. The fact that I found this in a used bin like the same month the album was released should have been a warning.
It's an indicator. It's an indicator.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like I found it in the used bin at a record store. It was at a used bookstore. Somebody was that desperate to get rid of it.
The record store probably told him to fuck off. So you went up the road a while. Like, okay, I'll go to the bookstore. They don't know shit about fucking CDs.
Yes, exactly. The record stores passed on it. They were so desperate to get rid of it that they went and traded it in for like a Thomas the Tank Engine DVD for their kid.
Shrek 2 on DVD.
It's not even one of the new ones. It's like one of the old ones with Ringo Starr narrating. I think Thomas was very naughty today. Don't you agree?
Sir Topham Hatt, what do you think? Yes.
Thomas, you have been a very naughty engine. Thomas Skarsberg, you have been a very naughty singer.
I'm gonna derail. I'm done with this.
Yeah. We are definitely off the rails in more ways than one. Anyway, yeah, I got this, when it came out, played it a few times. It's just like, this really is kind of missing that spark. So shelved it. But recently he's going through the shelves, trying to thin some stuff out. I was like, okay, that's one I should give another shot. I'm not going to say it's horrible or anything. It's not like they're suddenly playing, pop music, but there's no spark to it. They're just going, just going through the motions, doing the basics. And it's just, you can really tell that, the lineup is, been altered and they're missing a key component. So
Thomas's vocals are roached too. They're just roached.
Yeah. This just sounds like a tired. It sounds like what it is. It sounds like the band with an altered lineup 20 years after the fact, trying to sort of go through the motions. So just doesn't work for me. This one's going into the get rid of it pile. I'll send it to somebody as VCLT, or I'll trade it in at the record store if they don't kick me out and send me to the used bookstore.
We've got 5 of them on the shelf brand new. Why would I want you to use fucking bullshit CD?
Well, that same used bookstore, my kid's looking for another Percy Jackson DVD, so maybe I can make some magic happen that way. But I did give it another chance. But yeah, this isn't something I need to keep. So yeah, it was worth revisiting to make sure.
Right on.
Now, right. Marty, what have you got to show us next, said Sir Topham Hatt?
Oh boy. Well, all it takes is one song on YouTube that pops up or Spotify, and I'm back on the Thin Lizzy train. And man, I love this record. I love this record. I love the classy swagger of Phil in it. I think he's great. I think he's an amazing songwriter. I think he's a great lyric writer. This is one of my favorites. I think it's super funny. They started off with Rosalie, which is a Bob Seger song.
Yeah.
From Traverse City. He lives around here somewhere, apparently. I don't know if he still does. He used to. But you know what? The song works. It isn't a Mexican radio thing. Apparently they toured with Bob Seger. They liked that song and they were pissed that Bob Seger wasn't playing it. So they asked him if they could play it on their shows. And he said, sure, go ahead. So that's kind of how that whole thing came together. But man, for those who love to live, Wild One, this whole album rules. I love it. I love the twin guitar lines. You got Brian Robertson on guitar on here and Scott Gorham. The twin axe attack is just kind of starting to take shape on here. When it hits on here, it's angel singing, as far as I'm concerned. I love it. I love it. Do I love all Thin Lizzy? I don't. There's some albums I like more than others. This one's fantastic. Yeah, man. Check it out. Fighting Thin Lizzy.
That one has King's Vengeance on it, right?
Yes. Yes. First song, side 2.
That's one of my favorite Thin Lizzy. I
So
love that
fucking
one.
good, man.
And the king will have his vengeance, especially on the poor.
Yep. Absolutely.
Very
Such a
valid.
profound songwriter. And
Oh.
it's just a shame what he did to himself. It bums me out. What could he have done? He wrote
Happens
so
to the
much
best of them.
stuff. It does. It does. 100%. Exactly. Absolutely. Jeff. Yes.
Mhm.
All right. Patrick.
All right. I'm starting to run. I pulled a few more things, so I don't get depleted here. I just listened to this as I was getting everything set up here. This is a Hungarian band called Anubis. So I got reissued on NWN. From like early 90s. Super raw, 3-piece power trio. Like not quite as inept as early Hellhammer, but kind of close. You know, thrashy kind of death metal stuff. Their first demos on side A, all I'm presuming in Hungarian, so it's not English. And then side B, they get a little bit more tightened up, a little bit more. There's some keyboards going on there. They're getting in a little. It's still thrashy death metal kind of stuff, basically, but they're headed in more of a black metal direction. But if you want like raw, punky, hissy recording, you know, demo recording kind of stuff, if you like that level of rawness in your metal from social vacuums, you know, from places in the world that aren't known for having huge metal scenes, this is a really good example of kind of a hidden gem reissued by NWN. Anubis. It's the I don't know how this is pronounced. Halal Al-Dalan. There they are.
Do not know that one.
Yeah, I just kind of read the description, was like, yep, sounds raw and obscure and from a country I don't. Who else is from Hungary? I'm forgetting the big one.
Tormentor.
Of course, yeah. But other than Tormentor, are there anybody out there know any other Hungarian bands? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, nothing jumps to mind.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Nuclear War
stuff.
Now. Yosuke announced, was it last week, that he is partnering and opening up a new vinyl pressing plant in Texas. So I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a C. I could be wrong. I don't know, but good for him, and I'm sure it'll do well. And his attention to detail and quality control, it's gonna be a thing for sure. All right, Alan.
Sorry, I'm checking to see if I had anything. I have more albums.
Root might be from Hungary. That's a good one, Wade.
No, Root, good. Yeah,
They're
but
Czech,
no,
I think.
they're Czech.
Oh, they're Czech. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, Czech Republic.
I'm looking at my collection list right now. I have more
That's it. That's it,
albums
Logan. Helios.
by bands from Iran than I do from Hungary. So yeah.
How is that fucking possible?
Yeah, completely brain farted on Tormentor.
I would not have guessed
guy.
that.
All right.
All right. Well, let's see. Next up on the stack. Played this a few weeks ago. Hadn't touched it in a while. It is the third album from Sweden's Wolf, called The Black Flame. And Marty, I believe you sent this to me a whiles back.
Okay.
So there's a lot of bands called Wolf out there. This is the Swedish one that was active in the early 2000s. This band is, at least worthy of a footnote in metal history, because they really were one of the first bands right around 2000 or so that started getting people interested in traditional heavy metal. That, through the 90s, of course, death metal was huge, then black metal was huge, then new metal was huge. God forgive us all. But yeah, then, of course, more traditional metal started to get on the radar again. This was one of the first bands that started to generate some chatter and got some albums out too, not just somebody making like one random demo that 20 years later people thought was cool. I remember people very up on the first 2 Wolf albums when they came out, and just think like, wow, this is so cool that a band is actually playing old school heavy metal once again. And so kind of they were basically a precursor to new wave of traditional heavy metal that you were talking about earlier, Marty. This band was kind of set the stage for that to happen, as you got into like, the later 2000s. They were pretty good. I always thought, they were decent. I was never blown away by any of their stuff, but they were always, a decent listen. I got to say, on this particular album, there's one little just design thing that irritates the crap out of me. If you look at the font, it's these very plain black letters, these very plain kind of block letters. But every now and then they pick certain letters and reverse them. Like the E's are backwards. The K is backwards. And they do the same thing on the song titles. And it makes the font really annoying to try to read. And it's like,
it's a weird neo-Soviet type of shit.
A little bit, yeah. It's like they're trying to make it look a little bit Cyrillic, but it's not. But some of the titles, it's like, what's this third one supposed to be? The bite? Okay. I shouldn't have to struggle over the word bite, but you keep putting all the letters, and it's not all the letters. It's not up to a mirror and read them clearly. It just irks the shit out of me. Look, if you're in a band and you're putting out a product, a very fundamental rule is use a font that people can read so they know what your song titles are. This should be Design Basics 101, but I'm always amazed at how many bands screw this up and use some, jackass font where you're kind of like, this song's not bad. What's it called? Hell if I know. Okay, great. I will call it track 8. Track 8 is good. That always feels really weird. Anyway, if folks are interested in checking out, sort of the origins of where the revival of, traditional 80s metal got a kickstart, Wolf was one of those first bands that did it. There were others around that same time, but this band definitely helped put traditional metal back on the map. So good for them.
Yeah.
I've got my rant about fonts out of the way. So, Marty, it's all you.
Well, I was kind of smitten with this record when I first got it. It's been sitting on the shelf now for a few months. I figured I'd dig it out again, throw it in the shop, and see if I still liked it. And it's held up. Marduk's Memento Mori, their 2023 latest album. I did not get what the hell's the last one? Victoria. I did not get. That's the only one of theirs I don't own, I think. But it's solid, man. The dude, that Mortis guy from Funeral Mist. His vocals are sick as shit. He just has a putrid way of screaming. It's just sickening. Songs on here are fast and catchy. Shovel Beat Scepter is a standout for sure. The hell's the one with the spoken word shit on there? I don't know. Anyway, this is a solid record from someone told me Petrov sings on this. Okay. I don't remember, but it was like one of the last things he did before he died. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, yep. Memento Mori. Don't quote me on that. I'm just hearing snippets of shit on YouTube and it gets rattled around in this half-empty gourd of mine. It's hard to say, but
snippets of shit.
It's held up. It's Marduk. It's good. It's solid. It rips. And Mortis, the best thing about this is the vocals. Super sick. Great singer. All right. Patrick.
I spun this in the car today and just wasn't in the mood for it. I'm going to be honest. I know it's probably regarded as a classic in Brutal DM. Deeds of Flesh, Trading Pieces.
That's a pretty good record, actually.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I like Path of the Weakening. That's the only other one that I own. This is cool. I just wanted something that wasn't just all like blast beats and like occasional brutal breakdowns. They do that very well. not hating on it or anything like that, but I wasn't quite feeling it. So I got about 4 songs in, and I think I put on Christ Agony afterwards, actually. But yeah, it's good. It just wasn't quite the mood I was in. But yeah, great bunch of players for sure.
Oh yeah. Yep. I snagged that on vinyl, I think an original press, at a record store for under $20. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to like this, but I'm going to buy it because it's cheap. I can flip it. And then I end up listening to it. I'm like, oh, I'm keeping this. It rules. It's really good ripping, brutal death metal. Good shit. They definitely had their thing. It was good.
Yeah.
Didn't one of the guys pass away?
Do not know. More than likely, probably. A lot of people are passing away right now.
Yeah, they get to be our age. They all start. That's the way of all things. Anyway, Alan.
All right, no font rant this time, I promise. But yeah, here once again is where Discogs gets you in trouble, because I showed earlier that after with y'all's Atrocity album club show, it's like, yep, time to finally pick up a copy of that, which I did. So like, okay, I can check out. I wonder what else this person has for sale. Maybe I should take a quick. I'm already paying shipping for one disc.
Yeah.
If I buy another, it's like I get free shipping. I am that idiot. I really am. But they did have something else I'd been looking for quite a while, and I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it.
Record
Merciless
rules. I love that
Abject
record.
Offerings. Yeah,
That's their best album, straight up.
I've only heard. I think I've heard the second one.
That's good too. It's good too, but that one
it seemed good. But yeah, I have no deep knowledge of this. I learned about this one when we had Hunter on to talk about sort of overlooked 90s metal classics. It's probably been almost 2 years ago now, and Hunter Jin from Radical Research. This was an album he showed and talked about. And it's just like, oh, that sounds quite interesting. So I checked it out after the stream. Later that weekend. It's like, oh, that is really good. So it's always been on kind of the back of my mind to keep an eye out for. But it's another one that's been out of print for a while, so you don't see it very often. It's usually too expensive. But
yep.
Yeah, same person that had the Atrocity for a decent price, had this one too. So I'm just like, oh, I was being so good with my budget this month. Oh, but I thought about it, just like, I'm going to really hate myself if I leave that sitting there and it's gone in a few days. So pulled the trigger, and glad to finally get a copy of this one. Very, very good French death metal. It's got a very early 90s sound. What I like about
Florida. It sounds Floridian.
Yes, it leans more Florida than Sweden. And what I like about it in particular is they've got a good balance between sounding pretty vicious, but still also sounding a little melodic. That it's not just over the top brutal or anything. It's got, but it does have just that right balance of venom, but a little bit catchy as well. You can remember these songs and have parts of them stick with you real easy. So yeah, very cool album. Thanks to Hunter for turning me on to that one a couple of years ago, and glad to finally have it here.
That album is worth the price of admission for the song "Substance of Purity." That song rules. The best song on the album. Great album.
Good stuff. So Marty, what good stuff have you got left on the stack? Like Pat, I feel like I'm getting maybe to the bottom of my stack here.
I went and added more.
I can go for quite a while. I just have to get off.
Oh, okay.
I showed this Wednesday. I just got this in. I realized that there's a couple Dismember albums I don't have actual copies of. I just have promos of, and obviously all of it just got reissued. So I picked up their last album. I don't want to say the latest because it's old at this point, but the self-titled Dismember album. Okay, let me ask all of you this that have been picking these up. Listening to this, I was quite shocked how quiet this is. I have no problem with a mastering that isn't brick walled. I like being, if I want it louder, I'll turn it up. But this thing, I had to turn my volume knob to almost 2 o'clock to get it kind of loud. And that seemed a bit excessive. I don't know if it's just long, there's a lot of music in the grooves, or if, I don't know if the mastering is great on here. It still sounds okay. You just got to really crank the fuck out of it to get any sort of volume, but
I bought a couple of the other ones. I bought Death Metal and The God That Never Was. But
I
bought
need
them
that
both
one on vinyl too.
I bought them both on CD. I mean,
Yeah.
the essential Dismember stuff to me is like the first three.
Oh, of
Like,
course.
want those all on vinyl. The other ones I can have on CD.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell, you know, and most of my CDs I'll spin them in the kitchen sometimes in my boombox, but a lot of the CDs I listen to I rip to a Dropbox and stream. So
Yep.
I don't even know, man. But yeah,
But this is maybe their most Maiden album. There's a lot of Maiden type of guitar harmonies on here. It's kind of cool. They do it very well.
They kind of go like Creator in that way, like where like
a little
more
bit
modern Creator stuff. They weave a lot more melody into their sound and stuff, and it's in a very Maiden-y kind of way.
Yeah, I can say very excited for a Dismember record this year. I'm told they're working on something, so I don't know if it's this year or what, but that ought to break the internet for a month or two. I would guess.
Hope to check it out.
Oh, totally. All right, Pat.
Okay. Yet another 90s death metal demo reissued on CD. This is a Canadian band though. Summoning of Flesh. This is the ugliest. This just looks like something like a third grader put together, but it's blown up. It's blown up from like a cassette cover that was like probably a color photocopy or something like that. But it's almost album length. It's like 7 songs and an intro. And this is essentially the period in the beginnings of brutal death, I guess, where there were junior bands. This is a Cryptopsy junior band. Namely, there's another band called Gorelust who are really good from, I think, Quebec, that sounded a lot like very early Cryptopsy, first couple Cryptopsy records. That's what this is. It's got a lot of the dizzying technicality and those kind of like, you know, kind of breakdowns and stuff like that. You know, you could hear some Cannibal Corpse going on there too, maybe a little bit of suffocation. Demo quality, good sounding demo, but still 90s demo quality recording. It's got a lot of present bass, you know, there's a lot of attempts to do kind of those all the music drops away, Alex Webster kind of thing. And the bass sounds like a gigantic rubber band, like the biggest rubber band you could possibly make. And just like, bam, 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 bam. And, you know, the guy's like trying to do like Alex Webster stuff, but he can't play as fast. I find all this utterly charming and I love it. I think it's perfect for what it is. I think it's awesome. So yeah, Summoning of Flesh. And I can't read that, so I'm not going to. It's their demo.
All right, Alan.
All right. Another one from the used bin. The used bin had, you could tell somebody had just, cashed some stuff out for a bit. Yep. And it's funny, like, I literally, as soon as I walk in, one of those is like, whole bunch of new metal CDs back there. I'm just like, yep, you know me.
Great. You just think great. You walk back there excited, but already pissed off at yourself.
Just like, man, why'd I walk in here? I could have just gone straight home.
Yep.
But no, it's cool. But yeah, pick this one up and hit another one that had kind of been in the back of my mind to check out sometime. It's Krieg's The Black House. Krieg's one of those bands again that I've heard about for ages, but have never heard very much of their music. Just never came across a lot of it. I've got one of theirs on LP. It's got a weird title. It's the one that they recorded but then shelved for a bunch of years. And so it didn't actually come out until like 10 years after the fact. It's got like Son Ono for Ploro. Sorry, garbling the name. But yeah, I read and once again, reading the books gets you in trouble, as Pat said before. I'd read the U.S. Black Metal book by Daniel Lake recently. And, in the Krieg chapter, this, he really kept hammering the fact, this was kind of, the album where Krieg turned a corner. Because, Krieg was back in the day one of those bands that did not have the best reputation for sound quality and such.
I really like Rise of the Imperial Hordes' debut. It's really sloppy and there's something about it. And his vocals are so sick. I don't know. I always kind of like that one for some reason. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and some folks do, but they all use the same adjective you just used, sloppy.
Yeah,
and it kind of fell in that. Yeah, and as such, it was one of those bands that kind of kept getting brushed into that same bin of oh, it's cute the U.S. is trying to make black metal bands, but you guys don't know how to play drums. Kind of that was a real mentality. Lake talks about it a lot in the book, and yes, I remember that people did not look kindly on, that first wave of 90s black metal coming
Well,
out.
Juice
of the US.
Iscariot, the early stuff with it, he played the
Yep.
drums himself, and he was not a very good drummer.
And yep, that's another
Yeah.
one where it's it's got a charm to it,
Yep.
but it's very messy sounding. Krieg was in that boat, too. But he kept making a point, in the Krieg chapter, that this album was where they really kind of, basically quote unquote broke through, or got serious, or really leveled up, however you want to phrase it. So it's like, okay, I will keep that one in mind, and when I come, I'll give that one a chance. And so, yep, lo and behold, it's there in the use bin. And yeah, it's actually pretty good. I've only had a chance to play it a handful of times so far, but it doesn't sound sloppy right off the bat. So I was like, no, there is, this is relatively tight. It's, still raw black metal. They're not trying to be technical or proggy or anything, but they know what they're doing here. They've actually worked on these songs and worked on playing and rehearsing them so that, that they come together quite well. So good first impression. One thing that's interesting about it, and like the liner notes, he kind of gives, this whole spiel. I don't care if you like this album or not, the haters, you can piss off. I'll do what I want. And then he makes a comment. He's like, I'll just go ahead and say it up front. I covered Venus and Furs because I wanted to. Fuck you. Velvet Underground are great. Okay, I guess he's just trying to head that criticism off the pass. But, he does cover Venus and Furs. I have never been able to wrap my head around Velvet Underground.
I don't like him either. I never did.
It just does not do anything for
like
me. I get at the time it was probably very cutting edge
New York
kind of
art
stuff.
scene shit.
Yes, and I get that was at the time it probably was a really kind of wow, they're breaking all these taboos talking about this stuff in 1968. I wasn't listening to it in 1968. I'm listening to it in 1998, and by those standards, it did nothing for me. But that said, I'm going somewhere with this. That said, I actually really like his version of Venus and Furs on here.
I want to say Christian Death covered that too.
I think they did. I think you're right, Pat. If not, if not, they probably should have, because it was in their wheelhouse for sure. But the way he arranged it on here and the way he does the vocals and stuff, I'm like, that's actually a really cool version of that song. I can give that a thumbs up. Okay, yeah, he picked it for a reason and actually did it pretty good justice. So checking out Krieg's The Black House, and it's a little too early for a final verdict, but I'm liking what I hear. I think it seems to be a pretty solid album.
All right. Again, back to Finland. Again, I checked out a few song samples of this, liked it, and bought it without doing any research. So, sorry. I guess it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's on Wolf Spell, so that's, I don't know. I have no idea. The name of the band is Rivas, Riivaus, and the title is All in Finnish. So I don't know. It's just a dork in the woods in corpse paint, doing some pensive sky gazing, clutching the nuts of Satan with his left hand, and questionably real or fake, I don't know, skull. But this album rips, man. It's really well written. Typical Finnish black metal. There's a melodic dissonance to this stuff. There's a punch to it. There's a bit of a rock kick to this. It's cult, but it's produced well enough. When I got this, I jammed this a lot. And yeah, like I said, it's all in Finnish. I have no idea if this is, I don't know. And it doesn't bother me either way, I guess, at this point. It's so ambiguous. It rips. It's good Finnish black metal. So yeah, again, I didn't do my research, but it rules. Dig it. Good stuff. All right, Pat.
All right. So super recent, but I spun this a lot like a month or so ago. And it missed the cut with my punk and hardcore stuff, which might not have been right. I mean, it is really, really good. Japanese hardcore band called Crow. This is the IEP. Crow hasn't put something out for quite a while, as far as I know. They always have really cool like logos and art there. That's sort of pen and ink, kind of crusty style stuff. They're part of that school of Japanese hardcore that has a lot of blazing leads. The music is, at least compared to a lot of metal, like relatively simplistic, but it's very pounding, like dischargey drum style, charging forward kind of rhythmic approach. But they have, like, I think in the spirit of the OGs like Gizm and stuff like that, bands like Bastard and Deathside and all those would have like these really great like metal leads over everything, and Crow's no exception, and they do that really well on this. And there's also some kind of weird noisy tracks on this that are like odd, like instrumental, almost like power electronics ish kind of intro on here, and then there's another song that's weird and lapses into noisy parts, and then I believe female like kind of metal vocals on the last song, which are really cool too. So all in all, a pretty interesting EP. Crow's got a pretty extensive discography. I was never sure if it was Bloody Tear or Bloody Tear, but the record we'll just say Bloody Tear is awesome. Definitely one to check out if you're looking to get into Japanese hardcore. But yeah, great, fast Japanese hardcore punk with some good lead work on it.
All right, Ellen.
All right. And Pat, yes, Christian Death did cover Venus and Furs. Good call on that one. All right. Another digital only one, because this album has no physical release. So this is the only way to get it. It's an anthology by a band from Colorado called Dead Silence. The collection is called The Long Silence Is Over. And yeah, it's a cool band. They only did one single back in the day. Very, traditional mid 80s kind of US metal sound. Pat, are you thinking of this band or the punk band?
Punk band.
Okay, yes. I should clarify. This band ended up having to modify their name because there was a Colorado punk band also called Dead Silence.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of hard rock / metal band.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, this one, when they put this anthology out, they called it Dead Silence 8085 because all the tracks were recorded between 1980 and 1985. They cite a lot of stuff like UFO, Scorpions as their influences, and you can hear parts of that in some of the tracks for sure. They have a really good vocalist. Vocals were often the Achilles heel for a lot of these sort of small regional bands back in the day. You could always find, somebody who could play guitar halfway decent, and, you could string together some rhythm section, but a lot of them did not have a really, really good singer. This band did. I always liked the single quite a bit, and I knew from conversations with some old label owners that the band had recorded a bunch more songs once upon a time. It was just one of those cases where they had recorded tons of demos, were ready to do an album, but never really had, the time, money, or opportunity. So it never happened. He had, the guy I was talking to had contacted the band and was really interested in trying to put the material out, but somehow the deal never quite came through, and so he didn't get to put it out. But I remember him telling me distinctly, it's like, of all the bands I talked to that had material, this is the one I wish I could have released. I'm just like, based on the single, I get that. Well, it turned out the band did eventually self-release it as MP3s only. So they never pressed up any CDs or vinyl. You have to buy it digitally. To make it even more annoying, the only platform that I can find it on right now, though, where you can purchase it, is Amazon MP3s. You have to buy it through the Amazon. Yes, of all the places to put it, they put it there. It's not on Bandcamp. It used to be on CD Baby when that was a thing. But if you like a lot of the obscure 80s American heavy metal bands, the kind of stuff I tend to feature in a lot of videos, this is quite good. Not every song is a winner, but there are some really, really good ones on here. Nice anthology. There's like 17 tracks. It's, quite a lot of material. So interesting one to check out. And to anybody from like No Remorse Records or High Roller or Eat Metal, Battle Cry, the labels that kind of
Dive Bomb.
specialize. Yes, Dive Bomb would be a good home for something like this. Check in with these guys and see if something can be worked out. It deserves a physical release for sure. It's you look at some of the other bands that get collections and anthologies out, and there's like 6 songs, 4 of them are basement level live takes. You got a full album plus of solid material here with pretty good sound quality. There's no reason for this to exist only digitally. So yeah, Dead Silence, technically Dead Silence 8085. Long Silence is over. If you want to give Amazon $10, you can download it. You can probably find it on a torrent or something like that. I will give Amazon $10 and hope that at least part of it gets back to the band to check it out, because I do like the band quite a bit.
All right. You know what? I've fallen back into this fucking Kiss nostalgia thing. I don't touch them for a while, and then I like fall back into it, and I start looking at my Kiss collection. They're all records I've had since I was a kid, 6, 7 years old. They're all scratched up. All the inserts are gone. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start upgrading my Kiss stuff, because I want to start getting the stuff, the booklets, all the crap in it. So I picked up this Kiss Alive 2. Had the booklet in it, which mine has been long gone. It ended up posters on my wall. It has the tattoos. It has the order form in it. I paid $25 for this. Come to find out, it arrives and the booklet is only half there, and the tattoos in the order form, it's all good. And the record is in questionable quality, but it's not terrible. And I just started looking at what I was wanting to tackle and thinking about it, and realizing that I cannot compete with people in my age group or older that were probably more successful financially than I have been, because Kiss collectors are fucking crazy. They're crazy. They throw all kinds of money at shit, drives up the prices. People think they've got a gold brick. The bidding started on this at $25. Thankfully, no one else bid on it. And it's still not even complete. It's the cover's a bit better quality than mine, but the records aren't. The records are fucking roached. I don't know. It's I get pissed. I start watching these Kiss collectors on YouTube, and I did listen to the it's a classic. Kiss Alive 2. It's classic. I love the 4. Who puts there's 5 tracks at the end that are studio. So you have a live album with 5, All American Man, Rockin' the USA, Larger Than Life, Rocket Ride, Any Way You Want It. And also I come to the realization, Kiss, Ace Frehley has always been like an influence of, it got me into wanting to play guitar, right? Well, that lazy drug-addled douchebag didn't play on a lot of this stuff. He didn't. Like all those, the only song he played on the last record, on the very last side of this, is Rocket Ride, because he wrote the song. The rest is Bob Kulick. So the person I thought I was so inspired by was Bob fucking Kulick, apparently. So Ace. So yeah, my goal to start upgrading my Kiss stuff, man, I can't hang with it. I can't financially hang with it. And people lie on eBay. Oh, great condition, blah, 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 very good plus, very good plus. It's not very good plus. It's fucking shitty. It's shit you found at fucking Goodwill. But anyway, so that was my little mini rant there on the Kiss thing. But I just can't hang.
It's a good point. It's very hard to collect that stuff anymore. And you'd think something like Kiss, that there'd be enough copies of it out there that the price wouldn't be so bad. But yeah, even for that stuff, it's ugly having to fight for it.
I could, since I did pay $25 for just this shit, I might as well show it real quick. But yeah, I was psyched that I might be able to get it. Got the order form, which is cool. It's got the tattoos.
Nice,
Okay.
nice.
As soon as I pulled him out of the sleeve, I saw him. It's like my brain went back to when I got this brand new. I'm like, holy fuck, it is. I remember these tattoos. I remember it is. This is it. The booklet, I don't know what I did with that, but it was all, this insert was gone of it. Oh, and it came with a swimming around all scratched up, hotter than hell with no case. So it's like, I
Okay.
opened this up. I'm like, what the fuck did I buy? It wasn't even mentioned in the eBay auction. It's just in the center. I don't know.
Jeez.
Just
So
chilling. That's funny.
if I would have paid $100, I probably could have got a pristine copy with everything and a lock of Paul Stanley's pubic hair with it. But fuck, I can't hang with these Kiss collectors, man. You start bidding on shit, and it's so quickly when you get outbid, and you can't trust the descriptions. And so, yeah, anyway. Yeah, you're right, Mike. And it's funny because all those early albums I've had since I was 6 or 7, I know every pop and scratch on those records, and that heightens it. I was just kind of hoping for maybe something a little less partied on, but anyway.
Yeah. I'm
Petra, go ahead.
I'm thankful that I started, like, I collected records that were cheap when they were supposed to be cheap. Like, those records should be cheap.
Yeah.
Always.
They're
Like,
mass produced. They're not rare. They're not rare records. It's rare to have all the shit in them, but
yeah.
you know,
AC/DC, Kiss. I mean, if you're into the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, or
Led
whatever,
Zeppelin,
God bless
Deep
you, you know.
Purple, all that stuff.
But it used to be not that long ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, even you'd go into any record store or even Goodwill and get them for like $5 to $10. And I look on eBay now and they're going for 30, and it's wild. But I mean, it's not surprising either. So
Yeah.
anyways, I'm gonna pull an Allen here, pull something up on my phone. It's my turn next, right? I'm after
Correct.
Marty.
No, you're
Okay.
good. I just went.
Didn't want to mess up the rotation. Puff pass, Further in Evil. This is headed to my house on LP, but I bought it on Bandcamp. Marth, I think that's pronounced. So solo project, one woman project from Italy. Her name, which I have pulled up, is Marziana Silvani, and previous to this project, and I think they're still active, she's playing in like a death rock goth group called Horror Vacui, who are great, by the way. If you like stuff like Sisters of Mercy, etc., check them out. Marth is a one woman project. It's very like Blood, Fire, Death Amoebics with like a little bit more of a punk edge, or not Amoebics, Blood, Fire, Death Bathory with an Amoebics edge. Strike that, reverse it. It's really, really good, raw, epic, black metal kind of stuff, but it's that very specific type of black metal. Like Blood, Fire, Death, maybe a little bit of Return of Darkness, very mid-paced, pummeling kind of epic sort of stuff. Very, very good. Perfect for my drive through the woods and the country, headed back to my house, like on an hour-long commute. Very kind of nature-driven, epic kind of black metal stuff. But punk. Good shit.
MC Jekyll. Yeah. Hell yeah. You sure? My email address is there in the chat. Hit me up. I can give you some money for it, of course.
Also, I want to mention I've gotten 2 orders through my very small distro since this started. So thank the people that are giving me some money.
Oh yeah, go check out Ground Zero Salem media something or other fancy.
It's just groundzerosalem.com.
Sorry. All right, Alan.
Yes. And Pat, I saw how you Willy Wonka'd that last one. I approve. Strike that. Reverse that.
Yep.
All right. This is one that I have a review coming out, so I won't talk about it too much. But I have played it a ton, and this was kind of another just random, like, I'll give it a chance. It's probably not going. Oh, hey, that's actually really good. It's the new album from Funeral Winds, which just came out today.
Your review will be up Monday.
Yep, Marty's processing the video now. But yeah, if you're not familiar with him, it's black metal band originally from the Netherlands, now located in Czechia. They used to be a full band, but at this point, it's a one-man project. There's just one original member left, and he's doing all the music at this point. The new album's called 333, which seems like it almost seems like a bad joke title, because you're just like, what is it? Only half an album? There's actually a pretty cool reason for the title. The title actually does have significance. It's not just a goof on the 666 motif. I'll leave the gory details for the review video. You can watch it Monday if you want to see why he titled it 333. But yeah, it's actually just, he seems to play very solid, old school, early 90s death metal. And that, of course, means it sounds like early 80s black metal. Sorry if I said death metal, I meant black metal. Very influenced by stuff like, Hellhammer, very early Celtic Frost, just going for that very raw vibe. Reading interviews with this guy, he's one of those who's very much of the opinion that, black metal should be all evil and all satanic all the time. And fuck all this atmospheric shit, and fuck all this keyboard shit, and fuck all this shoegaze, just none of that. Raw, evil, black metal, the end. Very, very reminiscent, of kind of like, the dude from Pro Fanatica, whose name I don't remember.
Paul Edney.
Paul, yes. Could not quite get it. It's like P something, but I couldn't remember what. Yeah, Paul Edney's, same mantra. Just like, it's got to be evil, it's got to be Satan, otherwise it's not black metal. But that said, he does it really, really well. This is on Osmos Records now, and yeah, very, very good. I was actually quite impressed with it. I figured it'd be the kind of thing I'd play 2 or 3 times and then just decide, I probably won't review that. I've played this thing for weeks. It's gotten dozens of plays. He does a very good job with, he can write songs. It's not just noise. It's not just ambience. It's not just monotonous blasting or monotonous noodling. He actually knows how to construct memorable songs in this style while still having it sound very acidic and very raw, very venomous. So yeah, actually pretty impressed. It just came out today. You can go order it, pick it up on Bandcamp. If you really are interested in the project, it's one of those deals on Bandcamp where I think you can buy the whole digital discography, which is, like I said, 8 albums plus a lot of demos and splits and EPs. The whole discography is something like 15 euros. If you're somebody who likes a lot of your music on Bandcamp for digital files, shit, you can get the whole discography for the price of 1 CD. That's worth considering if you like this style. So yeah, very pleasantly surprised. I'm not going to run out and buy the whole discography myself, but it's a good enough project that I will definitely be keeping an eye on it from now on. Funeral Winds, the new album 333.
John fell off the treadmill at the gym listening to the Funeral Winds record, got carried away.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm glad you got excited, John. I hope you're okay and didn't I hope you didn't go full Scooby-Doo and start getting sucked around the treadmill over and over.
Is there any video? Is there any video? Scoob. Anyway,
yes, Pat. Here's John Hines falling off the treadmill. Resident of Funeral Winds. Yeah.
All right. Darcy sent me 3 Primal Fear CDs. He's hinted at wanting to do a Primal Fear deep dive, and I don't know if Alan will let that action stand. But Rule Breaker is one of them.
I may have to just hang out in the chat that night. But,
right.
We'll find you. It would be a good one to do, absolutely, and you and Darcy would be great for it. I can't follow you there.
I don't know. There's too many of them.
There are a lot.
There's a lot. And my kid, he's like, "Can I have this?" He likes it. I mean, the thing of it is, there's 11 fucking songs on here. Okay. And I got to say, their latest album, Code Red, is the best thing they've done in ages. The new Primal Fear record rules. So good. It's because Ralph's doing more of a traditional power metal vocals. On here, he's trying to sound a little tougher, you know, the kind of the machismo, rough kind of, he goes into melodic, falsetto type stuff on occasion, but there's a meaner, more aggressive tone here. It's good. And when I first listened to it, I'm like, I don't know if I like this. And then of course my kid wants to spin it. So we've been listening to it a lot. Grew on me. There's some good songs on here. I couldn't tell you. I'm terrible at song, and they're all at war with the world. That seems like one that stood out. We walk without fear. Oh, defiant. Defiant power metal old guys. I love it. But you know, it's a solid record. It grew on me. I had to listen to this a few times, but Primal Fear, man. Code Red. I reviewed it last year. Go check it out. If you like European German power metal, it's really good. It's the best thing they've done in a long time. So, but it's still a solid heavy metal band. I dig them. I'm picking away at their catalog. I've got over half their releases now. Maybe 3/4 even. I don't know, but yeah. The look of the crows give me when I walk across Safeway. Right on.
In the chat, yes, and it turns out John had his treadmill incident with the previous Funeral Winds album. That one was actually pretty good too. It just kind of got overlooked last year with so many black metal albums coming out.
Right. Well, you turned Dave on to Funeral Winds. There you go. He's psyched.
Oh, awesome. Good. Glad you like that one.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like my kind of black metal too. I should probably peep that.
Mike, you're right. Ralph is insane. He's such a good singer. I just don't like it when he tries to sound tough. I like it when he just sounds, you know, I don't know. Anyway, Pat, I'm going to go use the little boy's room again. I'll be right back.
Hey, I got next again. These ranch waters, man. I just are mostly water. So there you go. So kind of coupling up with the Disorder record. This is Chaos UK, who I think I mentioned when I was talking about Disorder. Another hardcore punk band from Britain who started in the early 80s that went through a bunch of different sound shifts. Their very early singles were like rough and raw, kind of anthemic punk, like a even sloppier Exploited, maybe, for those who are not familiar. Then they got really noisy and really fast. Not quite grindcore, but they did party with those bands. Like they did a split LP with Extreme Noise Terror. It's very good. Then it's interesting because they started playing in Japan and doing splits with Japanese bands. They have a split with Deathside, and you could see their influence. They're really noisy, feedback-laden, kind of sloppy stuff. You can hear the influence on Japanese hardcore, particularly bands like Confused and stuff like that. They did, I mean, it was a pretty abrupt change in sound between, I want to say, like 86 and 88, 89. You could tell they were starting to listen to a lot more like rock and roll-ish punk, like Poison Idea, who also were buddy with a lot of Japanese bands. Poison Idea, Anti-Scene, who were from Raleigh, North Carolina. Some of Gigi Allen's stuff. A lot of their stuff got to be more like a lot more straightforward, a lot catchier, a lot tighter, and almost kind of like oi-ish too, like the catchy choruses and stuff. This is a compilation. This is the Vinyl Japan years, Kings for a Day. And that's a compilation of like the beginnings of the change in their sound. I became familiar with Chaos UK because metal labels like Metal Blade and Century Media would sometimes roll the dice with punk bands here and there. There was a band, Sloppy Seconds, who are one of my favorite punk bands. Probably the only pop punk band I still really like. Sloppy Seconds were on Metal Blade. They had their first album was reissued on Metal Blade in like the early 90s, Destroyed. It's actually a take on Kiss's Destroyer. Instead of the members of Kiss like stomping across the landscape, it's just like Sloppy Seconds who are just
I remember that cover. Yeah.
They're just like random fat guys from like Indiana. You know, it's really funny. It's called Destroyed. And Century Media did a compilation of Chaos UK stuff. It was like an EP's worth of material, give or take. That was like the latest stuff Chaos UK had come out with, plus a really well-recorded like live album on the other side that was all their old stuff that was tighter and better recorded than the original studio recordings, because they were so drunk and sloppy, like in their heyday when they were playing noisy stuff. So, I mean, with Chaos UK, you've just got like really, really punchy. This stuff, especially, is just really, really punchy, catchy, sing along. Like they're a variant of cider that was like big in their area of England, like homebrewed
Cider's
cider.
delicious. I love it.
Yeah, homebrewed cider, swigging, like just drunk punk shit, and it's awesome. It's definitely like party jams. Really, really fun to listen to. Stuff.
That Chow Suck album cover looks pretty cool.
Chow Suck, yeah. Well, it's funny because like in the 80s they were like total crusties, like, and they had a lot of lineup changes before this too. But they, you know, they were the ones that kind of pioneered like the weird like shoelace headbands, but around like big spiky hair and like the patched up clothes that were like rotting off of you and stuff like that. By this point, they're like, okay, cool. What white zombie cover band is this? You know? Like we got like kind of a Phil Anselmo looking guy, and
You got
like,
the striped leggings on the bass player, lady bass player.
you know, we got some camo shorts. You know, it's like, okay, that spiky hair shit's just too much effort. Let's go total slacker.
Too much
here.
maintenance, yeah.
But yeah, all of it's good. Like they don't. I don't really think they. To me, they don't have a bad era. I could see some people that are purists for the noisy stuff not liking the more like anti-scene influence stuff, but I like all of it. So cool record. Been wanting to get a hold of this stuff for a while. It's a Italian label, Radiation Records, that do a ton of punk reissues, and they're pretty bare bones. Kind of makes me wonder if like a lot of them are totally legit kind of thing. I'm like, did they have permit? You know, like that kind, one of those kind of labels. But anyways,
Right on.
Cool. Hadn't thought of anti-scene in a long time. I used to run into one of those guys at shows in Charlotte from time to time.
yeah, they were from here. They're from here.
Was there a guy in the band named Doug?
Yeah, that's the guy I would run into. Yep.
I ran into him. He was a super nice guy. Hung out and talked to him. He's a super tall guy, long brown hair.
Huge guy.
Fucking
Yes.
Huge dude. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He was a nice dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said he's
yeah.
from the scene. I'm like, oh, cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
we had
band.
a
I love that band too.
Yeah. Everybody looked up to Doug, but it had nothing to do with personality traits. It's
He's a
just
big
that, yes.
mountain of a man. Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
All right, I gotta hit the head.
All right. Another new release that just came out today. I've just been listening to online. It's the new album from Sweden's Lucifer.
We got a promo for that, didn't we? I was surprised no one
Mhm.
snapped it up.
I think we did. To be
We
honest,
did.
I'm
I
not sure.
remember seeing it in the list somewhere. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I thought Kellen might be interested in it. But yeah, this is again Lucifer. There's a lot of Lucifers and Lucifer variations. This is the one from Sweden that features Nicky Anderson behind the drums. So one
They're
of his
married. He's
projects.
married to that lady, I think. They're married.
And yes, unless I'm mistaken, yeah, this is his wife who does the vocals for it. This is, as the album name implies, it's called V for 5 because this is their 5th album. This band works, very strictly in that kind of 70s occult rock sound, which I'm never really sure what else to call it. It's like it's a little darker than hard rock, but it always feels a little funny calling it metal at the same time. So I'm going with 70s occult rock these days. They're pretty good in this style. At the same time, they've never really wowed me. Killen had us listen to one of their earlier albums when we did the episode with him talking about new wave of traditional bands, what kind of seemed to count for us and what was a little too far out of bounds. And yeah, this is one of those things that, it's really hard to lump it in with any metal movement because, they're very much going for that retro 70s vibe hard. And they do it well. It's just that they don't really blow me away. There's a lot of bands that do this style nowadays.
Someone asked if it was along the lines of Coven.
North, exactly. I mean, you just look at the cover image.
She looks like Jinx. Yeah. Didn't she do like a photo shoot with Jinx? Didn't they tour together or something?
I do not know. I wouldn't be surprised. But yes, they are absolutely trying to channel the old Coven witchcraft destroys minds and reaps souls cover with that saying the creepy vacant stare from the pretty blonde lady on the cover. And that, to be honest, that's one of the things that bugs me about these projects a little bit. Just in general, they don't all do this. I find it you want to kind of capture that old school sound. Okay, that's fine. But some of these bands just seem so very married to that Coven template that, we got to have someone that kind of looks like Jinx. We got to have the cover that kind of looks like the Coven cover. We got to make sure the sound's kind of like the Coven sound. It's like, you may be constraining yourself there a little bit too much.
Yeah.
It's one thing to want to be a retro band. It's another thing just to blatantly copy every aspect of something like that. So I'd say branch out just a little bit more than that. They're talented. There's certainly nothing wrong with the music. I really like the opening song on this one, "Fallen Angel." That track honestly rocks out pretty good, and that's something these bands sometimes have a little trouble doing. Sometimes they get a little wanting to focus on the dark and the mysterious and the ooze so much that they kind of forget to rock. Fallen Angel comes out of the gate right away and rocks just fine. So there's a couple of others that sound like they do that too, but the album does kind of settle in a little bit more, and it has the sound you expect it to. So doubt this is one I need to pick up on a physical copy. And I'm glad I checked it out. It does, have some good songs. It's better than the one that we listened to with Kellen's project. But at the end of the day, there are so many bands that do this style these days that it's really
Not as many
like
as there were.
it may be thinning out some, but like we've talked about with some of the other genres, it's just really hard to stand out, especially when you're going to stick to the aesthetics as closely as this is doing.
Yeah.
Just go down to the bookstore in 3 weeks and pick up a used copy of it.
I don't go for that stuff too much. I remember when all that stuff blew up like 10 plus years ago. The original band, I feel like that kind of reinvigorated that was that band Jex Thoth. That band I think that band's the best version.
That first Jex Thoth album in particular, I really like that.
What was the band before Jex Thoth? Wasn't it Totem or something like that?
Devil's Blood? There was a Totem before that.
Totem.
Yeah.
It had her singing in that band.
I think there's people from Sabbath Assembly and Jex Thoth. I'm not sure. I got the new Blood Ceremony that came out last year, and I thought that was really good. I don't listen to stuff like that super often. I do like a lot of Doom. But that whole occult rock thing was like massive for a while. And it's hit or miss with me, but that last Blood Ceremony record, the one with the Aubrey Beardsley art on the cover, that I thought was really good. Maybe I was just sold because I really like Aubrey Beardsley, but
well, I got 2 left. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, I can come up with 2 more. Yeah, absolutely.
I can do 2 more, sure.
All right. Well, I showed this Wednesday. I got this during Air and the Metal Theologians album sale. Dokken, Back for the Attack. And I gotta say, this album, for a band that I was always kind of ho-hum about when they came out, I had a couple of their tapes, and I liked Tooth and Nail, I liked Under Lock and Key, but the main sticking point for this band was always Don Dokken. I thought he had kind of a wimpy voice, but nowadays it's kind of gotten to the point where I like it a bit more than I did back then, and now I'm picking them up on vinyl. But Back for the Attack came out after Under Lock and Key, and it's a little bit more aggressive of a record. It's kind of a shred fest, a little more aggressive songs. It's a fun record, and of course the Metal Theologian had it, so it's in really good shape. And I got it for a good price. I'm psyched. I get my Dokken fix, and it's for some reason like this and Rat. I'm picking them up on vinyl. That just seems right. It just seems like the right way to get this stuff. I don't know. Back in the day I had it on tape, but God, I hate tapes. I've had too many bad experiences with tapes, and they're just not the versatile medium I need them to be these days. I mean, vinyl isn't really either. You have to sit down and listen to it, but a record like this, it's okay to sit and watch the grooves go around. It's okay. It's fun. Is it essential hair metal shit you need to own? No, I'm a Rat guy. I like Rat more than Dokken, but Dokken's coming a long way for me over the years for sure.
I like Dokken too. And Dokken and Rat have definitely come around to only the past.
Man, I love Rat. I love him.
Yeah.
Great guitar playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Invasion
Did I
of Your
say-
Privacy, Dancing Undercover. Those 3 records are fantastic. I love them.
Yeah, like I went and saw this really good like DB raw punk local band from here called Scarecrow, and their guitarist Jeff is pretty good. Like he can play. He was like jamming round and round between, between like a sound check and stuff. All right, this is a funny one. This was like I don't even remember how I came across this necessarily. I think I saw it in a distro and was curious about it and YouTubed it and was like, this is so weird. This tape's $5. I think I was buying something else from the Heavy Metal Museum, which has been around forever. Bought stuff there in Pennsylvania. Bought stuff from them on eBay and Discogs, God, for over a decade now at least. This is another Slovakian band, a brutal death metal band called Suffocate. Very generic, not suffocation, Suffocate. Exit 64. Okay. Yeah, super moshy, dumb, brutal death metal. Nothing too out of the ordinary. You know, you can it's got a bounce to it. You know, you can jump the fuck up to it. But there's legit like just slap bass, like infectious groove slap bass on one of the songs.
Oh
Like as an
no.
intro, it sucks so bad, and I love it. It's so terrible. It's great. So I've been spinning this in my kitchen because it's just like Slovakian brutal death metal from 1998, slap bass occasionally for some reason. Why not? Like, let's go, let's do it, let's party.
All right. Alan.
All right. 2 more that came out of the used CD bin not long ago. Possessed, 7 Churches. Like, cool. I have it on vinyl, but I don't have a disc of it. Yeah, sure. That CD stack's already gotten so big that one more doesn't matter. I'm also that idiot. It's like, once there's this many, 1 or 2 more doesn't matter.
I just want to say, I think it was one of your first videos of the year on Let's Talk Metal where you're saying this year I'm going to be buying less stuff. I'm going to be, I love these little proclamations that everybody makes. And we all know it's bullshit because you are, what are you, Alan? What are
I'm
you?
a sick little monkey.
You are collector scum.
Yes. I did pretty good through the first half of 2023. I kept it, to like a dull roar. The middle of 2023, things broke down pretty bad. And yeah, 2024, really this one trip to the used store and those 2, the Merciless and Atrocities, really that's about all the damage that I've done in January. That's enough, don't get me wrong. But yeah, we try. We don't always succeed.
I've been trying to be so good, but I've been slipping. I'm like half off the wagon. I got one foot dragging in the dirt and the other one up on the thing going, oh no, I'm about to fall. Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah. This doesn't need much
No comment.
introduction. Just an older CD press. It's not an original CD press. It's a Combat, but it's 1999 reissue.
That album is so good. What a great record.
Yeah, great record. It is. I always get a chuckle out of how many camps want to claim this as theirs. It's like it's the first death metal album, and others are like, oh no, it's first wave black metal album, and others are like, nah, that's one of the great Bay Area thrash albums. It's just I just like envision like all these little people like pulling on it like a tug of war game. It's like no, it's my blankie. Just fighting over who gets to claim 7 churches for their little camp of extreme metal, regardless of which
all those things you can all have it.
why can't you share it exactly? Yeah. Regardless of where you put it, it's a very cool album, one of the staples from it. And someone just mentioned that the new album's really good. I've heard the new stuff is quite good. I just haven't.
It's good. It's good. It's solid.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously it's just Jeff Becerra, and he's with musicians that love. You can tell, like they love vintage Possessed, and they try to do it justice as much as they can. There's like the rototoms and everything that like give it the signature sound and all that. I love that record when it came out. I listened to it a bunch. I haven't listened to it since the year it came out.
Me either. I listened to it for a week solid. I'm like, this is pretty good. I love the rototoms, and after that, it's been on the shelf. It's just
Yeah,
over there.
but it is good. I will say.
Yep.
That is the kind of thing that happens to me when I get new albums by a lot of these vintage bands. Even if I do like it, they do tend to get shelved and forgotten.
Yeah.
Unusually fast, which is why I have gotten myself out of the habit of buying those. But then I miss some good stuff because I don't. But yeah, and it was very funny too when I took that one up to the guy. Just literally says like, "Yep, I knew that wasn't going to stay on the shelf very long."
Yeah.
He's like,
for sure.
"Yep, yeah, we'll just take the Possessed on home."
Sorry, we're responding to Mike here.
Oh, it's always what's Mike saying?
Just saying the darker that album was the first darker thrash albums I've ever heard in '85. Of course, the term death metal wasn't around at that time, and I agree. I always thought that was just a dark thrash record. Everybody's like, it's death metal. It's the first death metal. Venom coined the term black metal too, but is it black metal? Black metal? No, it isn't traditional.
It is to me.
Well, it is, but it just doesn't. I think the second wave kind of made everybody think that was the way it was supposed to be. But anyway,
Yeah,
I don't know.
We don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
Those
All I will say
conversations are never going to end.
No.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a resolution.
No.
Yeah. To your point, Marty, the second wave did give black metal an actual musical template or sound. It gave you musical elements you could expect to hear in black metal. The first wave black metal, and I love a ton of those bands, all you had to do was mention the word Satan enough times. It didn't matter what the hell you sounded like. You could sound like Merciful Fate, Bathory, Venom, or Possessed. Just keep saying Satan, 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 and you were a black metal band. And those lyrical based genres always kind of bug me that way. It's just like Christian metal can include Striper, mortification, and living sacrifice because they keep saying Jesus, 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 Jesus over and over.
Zao, Norma Jean.
Yeah, it's just, to me, that doesn't make a musical genre, but I'm not going to win that. I ain't taking that back. We're not getting that one back.
And really, you look at first wave bands, Bathory is the one that models the second wave the closest. I mean, that's where Under the Sign of the Black Mark is like the template for the Norwegian sound. It just kind of is. And so when I think of bands like Venom, it's black metal, black metal, black metal, but it's just different. It's more punk to me.
Well, then you got Merciful Fate. It's completely different from all that stuff.
Yeah.
The early Destruction and early Running Wild.
The first couple Creator records people say has a first wave black metal vibe to it too, which I never thought of it that way, but I guess I can see it.
Yeah, pretty much the first album by all the Teutonic bands, or the bigger ones anyway, the more well-known ones.
I mean, I've literally sat down and counted
all those guys were listening to.
I have sat down and counted on some of those albums how many times they say the word Satan, trying to figure out exactly how many Satans does it take to qualify, and why this one's black metal because they said Satan this many times. But yes,
even early Slayer when they were like wearing makeup in the very beginning.
There's
flyers that say LA black metal on like a couple of.
Well, now there's sorry, I want to derail this for a second.
That's fine.
In a serious way, not in a jokey way. But I'm glad you said that, Pat. You're right. Slayer, you could make the case for Slayer.
Show No Mercy.
In talking with somebody recently, they were fantastic. But somebody in a comment also brought up not too long ago, Morbid Angel and Deicide, which 9 times out of 10 you're going to say that okay, those are classic death metal bands, but someone's like, well, hey, those are very satanic. Shouldn't they be part of the black metal? Are they too late? Is there an expiration date on first wave of black metal that if it came out after 1986 or 7 that it seems like there's a gap? Because all the stuff we've been mentioning is more like, Venom in 80, Possessed up to 85. And then you have to jump forward to, 90, 91, 92, 93 to get the Norwegian stuff. What qualifies as black metal in like 88 and 89? Do we count Morbid Angel? Do we count the first Deicide album?
It's a good question. I mean, I think at that point, death metal was really starting to happen. It was starting to be like something that music journalists were using. I don't know. I mean, I was 10 years old. So I can't really say, I mean, retroactively, I can extrapolate maybe by reading stuff, but it seems like death metal was blowing up, and black metal in the second wave sense really was like barely in utero, so I don't know.
But a lot of those
seems
second wave bands really liked out of all the death metal bands, they liked Morbid Angel, they liked Deicide. Maybe it's
or at
because
least
of the
they respected them or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting thing that came up, and when I was thinking, it's just like, you don't hear about late age metal so much. It's either there does seem to be like a little temporal gap there where people just stopped using the term.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
those guys love Killjoy from Necrophagia. I know that.
Yep.
Whatever.
Anyway, food for thought, Marty. I believe it's your turn.
Yep, this is my last one. Bringing up the rear with I don't have the new one yet. I reviewed it, but I haven't got around to buying an actual copy yet. But this is Morbidity Triumphant by Autopsy. You've got Greg Wilkinson on bass, and you know what? I like his bass playing. I like his bass sound. It's more predominant on the new record. He's also in he's in other bands, Death Something. Rick reviewed it on the channel last year.
The Earhammer Studios guy?
He's the Earhammer Studio guy. Yep, for sure. Yeah. He recorded one of the new Excellences records that we put out here.
He's recorded a lot of stuff. He's like an Oakland dude, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But Morbidity Triumphant, man, I love the cover artwork on this. It's grotesque and cool. It's like what you expect on a new Autopsy record. But, Autopsy's been Autopsy. They have not put out a bad record. Shit Fun could maybe be their worst, but it's still Acts of the Unspeakable, maybe. I don't know. Neither of them are bad. They're just maybe not as good as their best stuff. You know what I mean?
I like Acts, but it's after the first two. It's like it's not.
Yeah. But I always preferred Autopsy with Steve DeGorgio in the band. He played on Severed Survival. He played on the Fiend for Blood EP.
Yep.
I love that sleazy fretless bass shit he would do, or the Rickenbacker tone or whatever. Greg Wilkinson brings not necessarily as good as DeGorgio, but he's a good bass player. He's got a good tone that cuts, and it makes it feel like older Autopsy to me. So that's why this record was kind of a triumph for me. And I think the Ashes, Organs, Blood, and Crypts is maybe a step better. There's even more of a pronounced bass tone on it, and the songs are a little more aggressive, a little more punky, a little more violent, a little more Autopsy. I don't know. This is good. It's just good to see a bunch of veterans at this point, a bunch of old farts still, tilling up the dirt and making a stink. It's good. Good shit.
Nice. Yeah, Greg Wilkinson was in Brain Oil, who are like a Bay Area staple, like sludge band that have like a couple of members. I think there's a member of Destroy, like the old like cross punk band from Minneapolis. Awesome, one of my favorite bands of that genre. But this isn't my pick, but I just want to show off the fact that I just bought the Abscess Urine Junkies picture disc, the epilepsy related project. This came with a syringe pen and a air freshener, which I'm not going to use. Something else.
After the county medical examiners, don't sniff it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I thought I'd pull that out and show it. I'm going to call this a tie. I love having ties and like cheating.
Oops.
Because I picked up two. I don't buy a lot of like death metal stuff on vinyl. I'm more of like, I don't know, I prefer CD for that format. But for classic albums, it's nice to have, especially if they're affordable, if they're not like $38. If I can get a good price on like, decent reissues. If they're OG presses, I'll spend up to $50, depending on if I see them in the store. I don't go on Discogs for that stuff. Anyway, had to grab Erosion of Sanity by Gorguts when I saw that in the
classic.
store.
Yeah.
$20. Reissue on Listenable RC.
Yeah, it's good shit. Listenable's a good label, man. They do good work.
They do a decent job. Obscura is cool. I think a lot of people were blown away when Obscura came out. because of how technically adept it. I remember a lot of the kids that I knew from back home that were really into like Dillinger Escape Plan and Converge. Like when Obscura came out, they were like, whoa, you know, because they were into like crazy fretboard antics. And I like that record. It's obviously technically impressive. This is cool because it's like their old sound from Considered Dead, like turned up quite a bit.
Yeah.
You could see where they were going with the technical abilities and stuff. There's a big lag between those two records, but yeah, this is great. And then I got Internal Caustic Torments by Wombbath. You know, like second tier Swedish death metal stuff, but
That's a good record too.
Definitely cool. This is actually a picture disc, I believe. So that's nice. It's a picture disc with a sleeve, which is, you know, cool to have. But yeah, like, you know, it's no like an ever flowing stream or Left Hand Path, but it is very, very good. So those are my two tied for the last selection.
Awesome. Good shit. Good picks.
I'm gonna re-sleeve them right in front of you. Yeah.
All right, Alan, bring us home.
Okay, last one here, and last one from that used bin project. This album. I just didn't have a physical copy of this particular one. I have all the other early Dark Throne ones, but just didn't get Transylvanian Hunger. So it's there. It's $8. It comes home. I hadn't heard it in a while. I've always preferred Under a Funeral Moon a little bit to this one. I think it's just a product of Under a Funeral Moon was my introduction to Dark Throne. So it's got that kind of personal bias to it. But yeah, there's nothing particularly fancy about this version of it or anything, just a digipack reissue. But yeah, the album that has spawned more copycats within black metal than possibly anything else.
Them and Burzum, for sure. Yeah.
Burzum could give it a run for money, but you know, just the aesthetics of this album alone. I mean, how many black metal bands have done this exact same, you know, photocopy something a million times and you know, slap it on a cover with how many candelabras have been included on the covers of black metal albums since Transylvanian Hunger. It really set the stage, and that of course all irks Fenris to no end these days. But yep, whether he likes it or not, you know, they did become the template in a literal sense for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acts that have followed. So yeah, it was cool getting to spin this one again. Been a long time since I'd heard it, and it's kind of nice. You know, I've got the first 4 Dark Thrones now back on the shelf. Hey, there we go. What else? Nothing much that needs to be said. Folks know this one.
Classic.
It's my favorite out of those 3.
I think it is for most folks. I think most folks
really okay. I've heard more
Transylvanian.
people. I've heard more people caping up for Under a Funeral Moon.
And it's so primitive. I hate it. When I first bought it, I paid $25 for it. Import the original pressing of it with the Arsk black metal, Aryan black metal crap on the back of it. But I hated it at first. Too repetitive and simplistic. But then all of a sudden it clicked. Oh, that one song, that dun 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 dun, dun. That song just rips so much. And then I end up loving the whole freaking album. But yeah.
Now Nick I would hear more people pick Blaze than that one used to seem to get more love than in Hunger, but in more recent years, I don't hear people mention Blaze as often as Transylvanian. Not sure if there's just been a little shift in the demographic, or if people got tired of Blaze and kind of then started focusing more on the other albums and realized, oh yeah, now I rank this one higher, and Blaze has slipped a notch. Not really sure.
My favorite might actually be Panzerfaust out of any of the other ones. I really like Panzerfaust a lot.
I gotta say, the last one of theirs that I really love is Hate Them. I love that record. It's like
All
it has
those-
a black feel to it. Their last black metal feeling record.
Yeah, like before they started doing like whatever, like hiking metal punk crossover. And honestly, like I like some of that stuff. Like I liked Circle the Wagons a lot when it came out. I haven't listened to it recently. It might not hold up for me. I don't know. But like I've never really heard Hate Them or Sardonic Wrath or any of that stuff. But the cutoff point for me is is Panzerfaust, and then I didn't listen to anything until what was the Cult is Alive, I think was the first one where they started to get kind of goofy.
Yep.
And I like that record too. But
Ravishing
that's
Grimness is a good record. Ravishing Grimness you should check out. Really good. I mean, they've got some good records. Cult is Alive is when shit started to kind of go sideways for me a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I like that stuff because I get where Fenris was like, oh man, Amoebix is sick. Like, oh man, I love Motorhead. I'm like, well, that's me. That's right. We're on the same page there, buddy. Like, especially the video where he's like, oh, Adrenaline OD, rock and roll gas station. I'm like, weird. Like, okay, you're apparently a hardcore dude from like Philly. You like Adrenaline OD. Weird. But yeah, I don't know. I just recently they repressed like the demos on 2 different LPs, like the oh god, what's it called? The Thulcandra demo and the Cromlech demo. They're like divvied up onto 2 LPs, and I bought both of them.
It's amazing how many times they've reissued those. It came out all together on that Frostland tapes.
Frostland tape CDs, yeah.
Yeah,
and
the
I used
CDs
to have that
and
too.
yeah.
I sold the CD box set because I was like downsizing and stuff, but I do like, as raw as they are, I do like those old demos when they're still like more of a death metal band. So I thought that Adirondack Black Mass distro had a half off sale. So I was like, okay, I can justify spending like $15 on an LP as opposed to 30. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that,
Yeah, that's the kind of sale where the stack gets thick pretty quick.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of CDs too because they're all like $4. So.
Yeah. Yes, another piece of I'll throw out another piece of advice to distros out there. If you really want to move stock, 10% sale, that's nice. That's not going to really get folks excited. That's basically a $10 CD is now a $9 CD. If I'm not going to pay you $10 for it, I ain't going to pay you $9. If you want to really get folks to open their wallet, 25% is the number where people really start doing the math and thinking
25 to 40.
Yes, in that range, because then all of a sudden the $10 CD is $7.50, and that's and then because 2 becomes 15, and then it's like, ooh, it's like buy one get one 50% off. That's where people will start putting more things into their cart. The 10% is only going to do so much. Yeah, that's not going to entice a lot of folks to cut loose with their money. Free pro tip. There you go.
My fave as well. Yeah. So we made it through, and Pat, we love you, my friend. It's so good to see you. See your face.
Out again.
Everybody in chat too. Lots of people popping in. People haven't said what's up to in a while. Jeff, Thralls and Metal Dudes. I think Eric pieced out, but Eric, of course, talk to Eric every day.
Yeah. We've had a robust, fun chat as always, and we got to thank all you folks. And honestly, I was looking at the analytics the other day. There's out of all the percentage of people that watch, there's 30% of people that watch a channel that don't subscribe. So why don't you just subscribe? Make Alan we have to get through.
Marty wants to make sure we don't slip back below 5,000.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen.
Before he forces me to listen to the entire Chameleons album on camera once again.
We will try to get that figured out this week.
Soon.
It'll happen soon, a week or two maybe, but we'll get it done. Pat, what do you got coming up on your channel?
Gonna make it my beeswax to participate in the Metal Tag 2024.
Good. There's been a good response to that. It's been a lot of people checked out.
Tomorrow or the next day. Gonna pull that together. I said I was gonna do like a short of my actual proper top 10 of 2023. Now that it's almost February, like I kind of like to do that. I wanted to do like a short or like an Instagram post or something, because for a little while I was pretty obstinate about like, I don't want to rank. What ranking is stupid. Everybody does this, but now I'm kind of
they're
like,
fun. They're fun.
I just kind of want to have the challenge of doing it, And there was a lot of good records that I think I talked about that maybe weren't talked about so much. I really think that Saren Reaper record, I mean, they're a very small band, but like they're so good. That's definitely my number one, but lots of good stuff came out that I like. That Sonic Poison LP is excellent. So yeah, I want to throw those all together. And then beyond that, a few people have been asking me, which is interesting because it's people that I think are more from the metal scene, but people have been asking me about 90s Screamo stuff. And that's a weird, contentious topic because what Screamo became known as with, oh God, what's that band? Like My Chemical Romance and shit like that. That's, Hey, Jeff, what's up? That's completely like separated from bands like One-Eyed God, Prophecy, and all these really bands that really sonically, in a lot of ways, were kind of close to raw black metal, really discordant and stuff like that. And I'm not like an expert on that stuff, and that's one thing I've noticed with YouTube lately that is kind of annoying is a lot of channels blow up because they're like, I'm the blah 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 historian, everything you need to know about this thing, and it's often way off. I'm not going to do that, but I do want to kind of like disseminate some knowledge about a lot of that 90s chaotic hardcore screamo stuff. If I can get away with inserting some music in there, like without getting copyright struck, like I like to do that because I think a lot of people might appreciate it and like it. A few people have been asking about that. So I might go into a big thing where I spend a couple weeks making a pretty big video about that maybe. And a few other things, you know. I haven't decided beyond that what I want to do. Probably going to do another generic music like collection update, although this whole experience has been that, so maybe I'll skip that for a while. We'll see. But that's about it.
Pat is a cool dude. If you're not subscribed to Ground Zero Salem, please go do so. And let's get his sub count up to 3,000. He's shooting for the big 300. Let's get him there for sure.
One thing that's kind of nice about that, the whole thing with me making a big flurry of videos is I looked at my analytics, and for the first time I think ever, I have viewers under the age of 35. I'm like, oh wow, I have viewers as young as 18 now. That's pretty cool. That's never happened before. And that whole like breakdown of like people that are subscribed, I have like 40% of people that have watched this crop of videos that aren't subbed. So thank you, Alaskan Berg Wanderer. That's a cool name. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, so that's cool. Like, and I've gotten like 125 subs, which is nice. That's what happens when you apply yourself and actually make content.
Actually do it. Yep. Alan, how about you? What's coming up on Let's Talk Metal? Tuesdays are your day.
Yes, there's a new video over there, 6:45 a.m. every Tuesday morning. I've got a handful of different ones right now. I haven't decided which one I want to put up this coming Tuesday. I've got a couple more book reviews I'm working on. I've got some US metal, some new wave of British heavy metal. All the usual suspects are in the works. So yeah, you can check stuff out over there. But yeah, thanks again to everybody in the chat. There's some new folks that have joined in tonight too. So like Courtney Oddball.
She was here last week too, I think.
Yes, glad you have found the channel recently, and thanks for coming and hanging out with us. And thanks to everybody else for tuning in too. It's always fun to see what folks can bring up in the chat. There's only 3 of us talking. Y'all can bring up a lot more stuff than we can think of. You can help jog our memories when we get stuck on a band member name or something. It's always a good time on Friday nights. And Pat, thanks again for joining us too. We don't see you often enough, but we know you're a busy guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hopefully 2024 things will settle down a little bit in my wild ass personal life. So, and I'll have more time. I'll have more time for hanging out with my friends.
Well, before we jump, I do want to make everybody aware that Jeff over at Gas Mask and Hand Grenades tomorrow, Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, he's going to have Havard from Ulver and Dold Vorde Ensnaven on the channel, along with John Haum from Adarac. They're going to be discussing, I don't know what they're going to be discussing, but cool lineup. Good bunch of people. Again, 3 o'clock Eastern Time here in the US. He gave me the European time too, but I don't know if it was a typo. It didn't make any sense to me. So I'm just telling you 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Havard from Ulver, Dold Vorde Ensnaven, and John Haum from Adarac. So Jeff's been killing it. He just had Greg Wilkinson on there from Autopsy and a bunch of other bands.
Brain oil.
He's got some other very good ones lined up.
Zebra, he had the dude from Zebra coming on, or if it didn't already happen. So,
yeah, he texted me about someone he's got coming up. That's a very cool guest as well.
Yep, he's been killing it. A lot of good. He's good at doing the interviews. Go check him out. As far as this channel goes, I've got a queue of reviews. I've got like 4 people have submitted reviews for the channel. So I hope to get one up this weekend. And one, Alan's going to be up for his Funeral Winds on Monday. Wednesday is the album club. We're going to be talking about the debut Sumerlands album, self-titled. And then next Friday is
Mega Colossus, maybe?
next Friday.
Oh, Friday. Next
Next
Friday,
Friday.
is Simon and.
Nope, it's not. It's
It's not
Dan
Simon
and
Winter.
Aaron the Metal Theologian.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Marty's going AWOL next week. So
Glorious
yes,
Dead has a gig here in town. Us fat old men are gonna carry all of our shit up and down the stairs of a basement to play for 20 people. Why are we doing it?
Sick.
Because we love it. It'll be fun.
Yes. So yes, Aaron and Dan from the Colosseum will be joining me. We've literally been texting and emailing about potential topics even this evening. Haven't nailed it down yet, but with the three of us involved, it's probably going to involve really old, obscure 80s metal vinyl.
I have no business being in that
somewhere.
discussion. I would be the guy holding Alan's purse in the store if in the record store. I'd be like, wait, are we almost done, dear?
I'll hold your coat while you go mosh, okay?
It was like me when I was a kid holding my mom's purse when she bra shopped at JCPenney back in the day. It'd be the same fucking thing.
Well, if you're like me, you would have gone on a safari through all the clothing racks because that's
Oh yes, that was me once you discovered that. Yeah, you could actually kind of burrow through them.
Oh my god, that was so awesome. Anyways,
yes, but yeah, we'll have a fun show while Marty, TJ, and the guys are off having a fun live gig.
Right on. Well, we love all you folks in the chat. We love you, Pat. And love you, Alan. It's good to see all you guys.
Thanks,
and
everybody.
we will see you all soon. Yeah. Cheers. Have a great one. Have a great weekend.
Peace out.